of the Titans, and the attention turns to the search for an offensive coordinator as former Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel, who was thought to be a potential candidate here, is reportedly taking the Chargers offensive coordinator job. Diana Rossini of The Athletic reported this morning that former Giants coach Brian Daboll is expected to land in Tennessee as the offensive play caller if he does not get the Bills' head coaching job. College hoops, Vanderbilt fell at Arkansas on Tuesday, 93-68. That marks a third straight loss for the Commodores after a 16-0 start. And the Nashville Predators started a 3-game homestand with a 5-3 loss to the Sabres last night. They host the Senators tomorrow. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Now, I don't want to spoil what Lucas has prepared for the NFL headlines or really for the dumbest thing in sports this week because both are applicable, but I completely understand if you are a Tennessee Titans fan and you are confused as to why the media continues to bang the table for ownership to get in front of a microphone and speak. If you paid attention to what's happening in Buffalo this morning, we will save it for a little later. More specific details about how poorly Terry Pagula, the owner of the Buffalo Bills, who fired Sean McDermott, apparently just based off the Broncos game alone, which is kind of crazy. We will talk about that. But owners typically do not cover themselves in glory when they get in front of media. Is there a more detached part of the NFL from what fans are feeling than the actual people that own the teams?
I think you could just say that about sports in general.
Oh, yeah, ownership.
Yeah, just that concept, right?
Yeah.
International, I mean, globally.
Let's find the most unrelatable people. Let's put them in front of the sports fans, and let's try to have them relate.
Yeah. Like, imagine being a Manchester United fan, born and raised in Manchester, England, and the person that runs your organization is the Glazer family living in Tampa, Florida. Like, that's the type of disconnect that we talk about, and it's global.
Yeah.
So, yes, Terry, the latest example.
Not great. Also, Robert Walsh is back from his food poisoning battle. You're not quite back because you have a giant bottle of, what is that, Pedialyte?
That's for you to think about and for me to know.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, have you spiked your Pedialyte?
Well, just don't come smell it.
Okay.
I guess.
What does Pedialyte even smell like? I can't imagine it smells good.
It's the only thing I've had in my body the last 3 days.
God,
so.
you sound so bad.
I know. It kind of sucks because when most people get sick or their voice gets messed up, like, it becomes like a sexy rasp.
I don't know. I think you got something going on here.
Nah, I feel like this is the guy that calls you to be like, I have your dog. If you want your dog back here, I'm going to need 500 unmarked bills in your mailbox tomorrow or he's going to be puppy.
Yeah, I disagree with Lucas. I think you sound like you have asthma and you just went up a flight of stairs.
No, I think it's smoldering.
Well, it wouldn't be asthma because I am down some LBs, buddy. I'm down
Are you?
14 and a half pounds since
Excellent.
Monday.
He's looking slim.
It is very nice. I don't think I'll ever eat solid food again.
Starting to see a six-pack forming, if I'm not mistaken.
You can see the first pack for sure. Definitely there.
The way that you just grunted out that last
You
sentence.
sound like you're cosplaying as someone who is sick. That's how sick your voice sounds.
Well, I could see you thinking that, but I wish that was the case. Also, I hate this hire. I haven't got to say it yet.
Saleh.
I hate the hire. No, well, that's not what people say his name. People say Robert, and I think someone's talking to me. And
Is
I
that
hate
why
it.
you hate it?
Yes. Yes, I hate it because every time in Lucas's update,
This town's only big enough for one Robert?
it's not that. It makes my ears perk up. We need to call him something else. We need to call him Rob.
People are not regularly calling him Robert.
Or call him
they call him Saleh.
Let's call him Rosa or something.
What?
How do you feel about the hire from a football standpoint?
Oh, yeah, that's great. We talked about it, what was it, Friday, about his defenses in New York? Love that.
It's the name that you're hung up on.
Yes, because in your update, I thought you were talking to me and you were saying Robert Saleh, and I just know that's going to annoy me. We have like a whole 5-year extension of this.
Does Saleh have a nickname?
Well, around here, you'd be lucky to get 3.
No, he doesn't need a nickname because if you were going to give him a nickname, it would be like Bert.
Bald and beautiful.
Bald. B-A-B, Bab. See, yeah,
Well, we already got one of those.
Yeah, we already have a Robert too, but let's call him Bab. I'm cool with that. Bald and beautiful.
615-737-1045
We
is
already
the
have
number.
a Babs.
We just
Lucas.
Lucas.
I was busy
Doing what?
trying to find out if Robert Saleh has a nickname. He doesn't.
Thank you.
He doesn't.
I love how you try to tell me the things that I say when you listen to absolutely nothing ever.
I only hear the dumb things you say.
Oh, my God. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate. FNM Bank Chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is active and ready to go, where somebody makes a comment that is probably the best comment I've ever seen, and the comments are moving too quickly, so I've lost it.
Is it from T-Man?
Yes.
Is it that?
You can read it.
Food poisoning is the OG Ozempic?
Yes. So you have gotten on a healthier version of Ozempic. Actually, I don't know what the side effects are of Ozempic. I'm just assuming that something terrible is going to happen to all these fat people that keep, just injecting their way into skinniness.
I was trying
Seems like a bad idea.
I'm trying to stack them now. Like, what if I got Ozempic and like a tapeworm, like on top of food poisoning?
How would you even get a tapeworm? You would have to go and find a tapeworm and physically ingest it.
Hold on a second. I can find a tapeworm right now.
Okay.
Tapeworm for order.
What was that Chinese site that people used to order all kind of illicit
$14
drugs and materials off of? Alibaba or something like that?
Yes.
Silk Road.
People ordered like jerseys and stuff.
Yeah,
off
and then
of
they
that.
shut it down because somebody tried to build a bomb on a college campus or something like that. Like they ordered a bunch of stuff illicitly. Yeah.
So Mike McDaniel is the offensive coordinator of the Chargers.
Which means that Diana Rossini's reporting was correct, which was that there was at the time when she joined us, what was that, yesterday in the 11 o'clock hour, that there was no tangible connection between the Tennessee Titans and Mike McDaniel.
Hey, she got one right.
So,
Sorry.
Well, Titans better hope she got another one right if her reporting this morning
what's your problem?
is correct as
No.
well.
Go ahead. It's a brave man when she's not here.
No, well, I didn't know she was on the other day. Well, I wanted to tweet about her with the Adam Thielen thing back at the beginning of the season. You were like, don't tweet at her. She comes on the show too much. So,
I don't remember that. What was the Adam
where
Thielen
she was
thing?
like, there's no connection. Adam Thielen will not be returning to Minnesota. Then they traded for him. It's like 4 days later.
Well, Diana reported this morning that Brian Daboll, if he does not get the head coaching job in Buffalo, is expected to be the Titans offensive coordinator.
So I think that would be a wonderful second option if they were able to land Brian Daboll. But, of course, the thing that stands between them and Brian Daboll right now is, as the tweet mentioned, the idea that he could be the next Bills head coach. Which, him as the Bills head coach would make a lot of sense because he and Josh Allen obviously have a really good rapport.
Was that the best of Josh Allen?
Oh, I don't know, man.
I mean,
Josh
he won
Allen's
MVP last year with Joe Brady.
Josh Allen's had a lot of really just impressive as hell seasons. Do you know, this is the thing that makes the McDermott firing even more confusing. And I don't know, Robert, you prey on the Bills' downfall on a regular basis, so perhaps you're content to watch it burn back there. But, should Sean McDermott objectively have been fired?
No.
I feel like no.
Yeah.
And if they were going to fire him, they probably should have cleaned house.
They have the best point, since he became the head coach, they have the best point differential in the NFL. They have allowed the fewest points over those, 6, 7 years that he was head coach, and they've scored the most. They have been overwhelming. And yes, you can say, well, he's just riding the coattails of that unicorn at quarterback, and you would probably have a decent case to be made there. But Sean McDermott's done a really damn good job. And to see the justification from their owner today, which, again, we will wait for the dumbest thing in sports to get to. I don't want to spoil what we have prepared for you at 11 o'clock. Make sure you have your submissions. Robert, do we have anything in the nebulous prize bucket to give away at 11 o'clock for the dumbest thing in sports?
We do. We've got some Rascal Flats tickets.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
I miss Mayberry.
Oh, no, not in that voice.
No, I like that. See, this is good. I'm
good
telling
for
you.
whom? Who is this good for?
It's like smoky. It's like smoldering. I think you've got
Sitting
some
on a porch drinking ice cold cherry.
Oh yeah, see?
Coke. Where everything is black and white.
Pretty
Such a good
good.
song. Such a good song.
Josh Allen had his career highs in passing yards, passing touchdowns, and rushing yards with Brian Daboll calling the shots in Buffalo.
So I would say that Brian Daboll would make sense if you were going to have him come in there as the head coach and call the plays for Josh Allen. But The thing that you have to consider is how bad that roster is and the fact that you have just had Brandon Beane promoted and the owner, again, I'm trying very hard not to spoil the dumbest thing in sports this week, but this Pagula press conference is crazy, the justifications that they're putting out there.
The streets are calling him Pafula.
Are you the streets?
Yes.
Okay.
I am perpetrating these rumors.
Okay, very good. Look at how he's sick as a dog, but you could not find a bigger smile on his face because Buffalo is burning, not literally, but, as a fan base at this point in time. So we will keep you updated, of course, with the latest on the Titans OC search. We also have some interesting reporting from Albert Breer on how Robert Saleh won the Titans over in a matter of, 5 hours was the total time that he was here and interviewing. And they were scared that he was going to go and leave and become the Arizona Cardinals head coach, which what kind of threat is that really? That's more of a threat for, the coaching candidate. If you leave here, you're going to go be the coach of the Cardinals, bud. You sure you want to leave?
Leverage is leverage.
Yeah, I guess. So we will get to Breer's reporting here in just a second. Your phone calls are, of course, welcome. Tiny in Goodlettsville.
Yeah, I was wondering, what do you think about Doug Peterson as a OC? He's won a Super Bowl. He failed as a coach, so nobody's going to want to pick him up as a new coach, but he did good as a OC.
Yeah, he didn't fail as a coach, right? He won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia with a backup quarterback, so you got to give him some credit. Now, he didn't acquit himself overwhelmingly well in Jacksonville, for sure.
There was a spike there. Obviously,
they had Urban.
Yeah. And, they won a game, right? Justin Herbert did melt down, but they did also have to score points to come back.
Yeah. And
lost to the Chiefs in the divisional round, and then things spiraled.
There's going to be a lot of different names that are tossed out there that have been around football for a long time. I want somebody who's the best fit for Cam Ward. I don't know if that's Doug Peterson. I know Brian Daboll really, really liked him because the Giants were the team that was most actively trying to trade up to get him last year when Brian Daboll was still the head coach there. So I think that you have to take into consideration a couple of different things about what makes the most sense for Cam Ward right now. And, of course, we are not the kind of X's and O's minds that to be able to answer that question adeptly, which is why we have Greg Cosell, who will be on the radio show tomorrow, we will do the install tomorrow, and we will play a portion of that for you on the radio show tomorrow, as is the custom, with all these coaching search moves. But what I think makes a lot of sense for Robert Saleh, Brian Daboll would be a really, really nice fit. Cam and Josh Allen and Cam and Patrick Mahomes and all these different stylistic comparisons, and that you want to try and square peg round hole your way through. What I don't want to do is just kind of people calling in, and listen, I'm not mad at callers or anything like that, but I don't want to do list radio on the OC stuff. We can talk about these things as they become available. The Brian Daboll thing is the thing that's most recently been reported. We know that Mike McDaniel will not be the next Titans OC.
You talk about a CEO of your offense, right? That's essentially what you're looking for, especially if Robert Saleh plans on calling plays defensively for the Titans, which has been reported. Brian Daboll, former head coach, offensive coordinator at multiple stops. Did you know he was the offensive coordinator of the Browns back in 2009?
I did not.
He's been doing this a while. He was the coordinator of the Browns in 2009 and 10. He was the Dolphins offensive coordinator in 2011, the Chiefs offensive coordinator in 2012, before kind of rehabbing in New England and then going down to Alabama and then going to Buffalo.
So we will talk about how Robert Saleh won over the Titans here in just a second. Albert Breer with some great reporting on Sports Illustrated. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Nothing worse than a plumbing, electrical, or HVAC emergency. It doesn't have to take an emergency for you to be put in a bad spot. And a lot of times you put these things off because you don't know what it will cost or if it'll get fixed correctly or if someone is just trying to sell you something. When you call Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, their experts are going to solve your problems quickly. The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. There's no hidden fees or surprises on your bill. Hiller has been in business for over 35 years and is family owned and operated. Their techs are professional, experienced, and trustworthy. When they're on their way, you'll receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time. No more wasting time waiting around. 100% satisfaction guarantee of happy you'll be or the service is free. That is the Happy Hiller promise. So book online today at happyhiller.com. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. 615, maybe that'll get you right. People are now tweeting us things that Robert sounds like. We'll get you some hot chicken potentially during the show and burn the sickness out of you.
You think that would help?
I think that all things are cured by Hattie B's. Jimmy tweets us, Jimmy R. on Twitter. Robert's voice is giving off Christian Bale Batman vibes.
Ah, yes. Can you give us, where is he? Or where are they?
Where are they?
Pretty good.
I feel like that was just me trying to sound like it.
Pretty good.
No, if that was you trying, it was about as half-assed effort as I've heard. That's the thing that we're going to do with your voice being as down bad as it is today. We're going to have you do all kind of vocal bits.
Okay, that's fine. As long as someone pays me in food, and it has to be something that would fit what my belly is allowed to eat right now. Because I asked Jayhawk, I was like, because he's like supposed to be a doctor or something. I don't know what his deal is. But I was like,
he's a former physical therapist,
I was
for
like,
those
what,
who don't know.
What can I eat?
Justin.
Oh.
I was like, what can I eat? He was like, oh, you just need to eat like soup or something liquid, like let it keep running through you. He was like, maybe have some pasta, like that would soak up some of the stuff. Of course, Lucas is nodding his head.
Yes.
I was like, what about like an egg salad sandwich? He was like, no way. He's like, why would you even try that?
I was like, how about some anchovies?
Why? Yeah, of all the things to eat while
like
you're
I'm
dealing with
pregnant.
a stomach illness.
I'm having all kind of cravings. I want sushi and egg salad sandwiches. And
You said, how about some lengua tacos? Would that calm my stomach?
when Lucas said the taco place we go to a lot today, I was like, oh man, I would love some tacos.
Yeah, you know what'll help your stomach? Beef tongue.
Well, it's protein.
Your stomach has probably shrunk, too. It's probably like, I don't know, the size of like your thumb. It's probably tiny.
Well, I'm open to interpretation because I am both starving and nauseous.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to help me out.
We will rectify that situation at a later date. Robert Saleh is the Titans head coach, although not yet been announced by the team. That is the expectation, so I'm sure they are working through the contract terms. Also, if they don't get a press conference done this week, which it doesn't, there's no expectation that there's going to be a press conference this week. It's going to be kind of hard with the snowpocalypse that's coming our way as far as the logistics if he's going back and forth between San Francisco and Nashville right now.
I wonder if we don't get an introductory presser until next week sometime.
I feel like, again, if they don't get it done by Friday, which they have no plans to do it this week based on talking to PR about it, it sounds like it will be later into the week next week for those of you who are wringing your hands about when your team will officially announce your new head coaching hiring and, of course, when the press conference will be. So we will keep you updated with that. Of course, we will get to the reporting of Albert Breer on how Robert Saleh won the Titans over here in just a second. 615-737-1045 is where you go to chime in on the hire. Phil is in Portland.
Hey, good morning, Buck. Happy Miller Lite to you.
Oh, where have you been? Happy Miller Lite. It's been 100 years.
I got married, man. I got married, and listen, I got the formula to a happy marriage. She does the thinking, I do the drinking.
Amen.
I mean, it goes hand in hand, like a good offense and a defense. It's working out good for me so far.
Well, it's lovely to have you back, Phil.
I got to say, when you look at Robert coming from New York, I know you're looking at his defense situation with the Niners, which wasn't good this last game. That was terrible. That might have been the worst game I've seen all year. But what are you looking at when you see him and him being a head coach in New York that's attractive? I mean, is he just the best that was still there? And then my last question, Buck, if it would have been you picking, would you have kind of just waited and just dealt with the coach you had now and see what opens up next year? Because you plugging a guy in like that square peg round hole thing you were saying, he may end up being detrimental to your team. He's already showed you what he does in New York, so was it really worth getting him? That's just my questions. I'll hang up and listen. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, Phil. It's good to have Phil back. I'm still looking for Scott and Beth Page.
Miss Scott.
It's a shame. We had many of those kind of callers, and I don't know if Scott just got a different job and maybe his work does not allow him to call in and tell us how much he loves us on a regular basis, but it's okay. Listen, we are going to, Zach Rosenblatt, who is the Jets beat writer for The Athletic, wrote a really good piece on all the things that went wrong and the things that went right for Robert Saleh in New York. So Rosenblatt is going to join us at 12:20 Central Time today via Zoom. And if you want to read the piece in advance to kind of understand some of this stuff, there are some things. Robert Saleh failed in New York. There's no disputing this. His best season was 7-10. He was there for 3.5 years, and he never made the postseason once. His defenses were his first defense. The first year that he got there, they were not a good defense. As they got better talent, as he was able to put more of his fingerprints on the defense, they became one of the best defenses in football. They had elite talent to work with, and that is not something that he currently has in Tennessee. Obviously, that's the Mike Borgonzi front office component that has to regenerate that defense beyond. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons and Cedric Gray are the only cornerstone pieces you have definitively right now. You are optimistic about Kevin Winston Jr. You are hopeful that Tavondre Sweat realizes his potential. Beyond that, you don't really have much to work with. God knows you don't have any corners at this point in time. And Amani Hooker, who's been here for a long time and I think was a product of just how many things fell apart around him, I think Amani Hooker can be better than he was this year with better pieces in place. Their plan for the quarterback was a disaster. They traded away Sam Darnold. At the time, maybe it's revisionist history because a lot of people didn't get Sam Darnold right, and all of a sudden Sam Darnold is now playing in an NFC championship game. They drafted Zach Wilson, which was also a disaster. The Zach Wilson thing fell flat on its face. They did not have a proper plan to support the young quarterback that they drafted, which is in part on Robert Saleh.
Well, it can also be true that Zach Wilson probably never was a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL and doesn't seem to be.
He was passed over in Miami for Quinn Ewers with Mike McDaniel. So if Mike McDaniel can't do anything with Zach Wilson, that's probably closer to the hole. But again, I'm more inclined to pin blame on coaching staffs and organizations for player development. Not to completely recuse the player of the situation, but Zach Wilson didn't do a good enough job. They didn't do enough. They didn't do enough with Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson also wasn't good enough. Now, all of those sins happened in New York. Is Robert Saleh the exact same person that was the head coach of the New York Jets? Likely not. Now, we don't know definitively how this is going to go, and this offensive coordinator hire is huge for him because it doesn't solve their biggest box to check right now, which is, okay, what is going to be done in the best interest of supporting and helping Cam Ward grow and develop into a Pro Bowl caliber player as a number 1 overall pick. So I'm going to reserve judgment on the Saleh thing until we see what the staff looks like and how this all goes, because I do think that, to me, the most important thing that he brings, which is one of the biggest things that I wanted to see them get in their next head coach, is somebody who's done this job before. And they interviewed a variety of different candidates. How many of the 19? 14 of the 19 had been head coaches previously in some form or fashion?
I think it was more than that. I mean, yeah, no, it was 14. 14 of the 19.
Okay.
That includes Harbaugh.
So, it's a long way to say we'll see. Now, what he did well was his interview for the Titans job. And what the Titans were able to do, Albert Breer did a lot of reporting on this, basically putting together the timeline from October when Callahan was fired to when they ultimately decided, when they had Saleh in the building, and how Saleh went about winning them over in the interview, where he spent 3 hours with the Titans football leadership, which is Mike Borgonzi, Chad Bringer, Dave Ziegler, Dan Sagany, and Reggie McKenzie. So that is the search. I think that's the entire search committee. I don't think there's anybody on the search committee that was left off there. And Breer goes through the detailed plan that he had for Cam Ward, in which, quote, Saleh demonstrated a real command of what Ward would need, including staffing on the offensive side with experienced candidates and a second phase plan should a coordinator leave, which is very good to hear because that's something. Now, Saleh didn't lose an offensive coordinator in New York due to the success of the offensive coordinator. What happened was Mike LaFleur was a first-time play caller as an offensive coordinator, and that failed. And then they brought in, who's the
Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett, because they had Aaron Rodgers, and that's what Rodgers wanted. So that became a completely different situation. Is that a fair way to judge Robert Saleh's judgment on coaching hires? No, because it's really just Mike LaFleur,
Yeah,
right?
the Hackett thing is a very unique situation. The second you bring in Aaron Rodgers to be your quarterback, he has some level of control over what the offense is going to look like.
So,
and obviously, he wanted Hackett in the building.
I love to hear that he had a second phase plan to include, all right, what do we do if a coordinator leaves?
Well, sure, but we shouldn't be surprised by that, right? Like, yeah, it's great to hear, but yeah, like what else did they talk about for hours?
For 3 hours.
The other day, like.
I want to see one of these binders. Like, have you seen this Nick Saban piece they're getting ready to put out on ESPN where he brings in his playbook and it literally is the site? It's as tall as this monitor is.
I will be watching that.
In terms of thickness, I know. But I would be fascinated to see or to hear at least some level of detail. Obviously, they won't disclose most of the details, but I'd just love to hear what that pitch kind of looked like.
Yeah.
And how you go about formulating a second phase, because that's difficult, right? You would have to have in-house candidates on your staff that you would be comfortable promoting, because it's impossible to predict the job market 2 years from now. I mean, how many of us would have predicted that 10 NFL jobs would have come open and one of them would have waited until after the divisional round?
Well, you can't even guarantee your first offensive coordinator.
Right.
Like, I mean, again,
all looks good on paper, yeah?
Sure. I mean, all you can do, right, in that situation is present your Rolodex and present guys that you've talked to about these sort of possibilities. But this idea that, you know, the moment we learned Robert Saleh was the head coach, that we needed to know who the offensive coordinator was never going to happen. Mike McDaniel was still interviewing for head coaching jobs as of like yesterday. And now we know he's the OC of the Chargers. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces in this coaching carousel. And we'll see who he lands with. Brian Daboll is still interviewing for the Buffalo Bills head coaching job, still involved in that search. And we'll see if that takes place. Bobby Slowick's name I have not seen pop up. Has he popped up in any offensive coordinator searches anywhere? And it hasn't been brought up here for what it's worth either. We just know that they obviously worked together in San Francisco, and Slowick worked under McDaniel last year.
I have Eagles requested to interview him for their offensive coordinator position 2 days ago, according to Adam Schefter. That was that may be the only information I've seen out there on Bobby Slowick. In his most recent role, formerly the Texans OC, he was fired there and then went to be the Dolphins passing game coordinator, as Lucas mentioned. So that's the only reported information 2 days ago around Bobby Slowick.
Okay.
What was the other interesting piece of Albert Breer's reporting to you? Because there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, that definitely stuck out the most. The fact that they talked to Matt LaFleur extensively about Robert Saleh, close friends, used to work together. Matt LaFleur brought him in the piece. Breer says at the end of the 2023 season, but I'm pretty sure it was really the 2024 season.
When he got fired, he went to Green Bay to serve as a consultant.
Yes, I'm saying in the article, Albert Breer says that happened in 2023, but it would have happened in 2024 because he was fired from the Jets 5 games into the 2024
maybe
season.
Just a typo.
But yeah, just a typo. I thought that was interesting that the Titans go down that path, which Breer calls conventional, of talking to those closest to him in the coaching industry. And then there was one that we can talk about it a little bit later that Zach Rosenblatt pointed out a little bit, but it wasn't Rosenblatt. It was here with Breer. Just as important was his approach to setting up the entire organization and his level of detail in areas such as sports science. He explained how he would take care of the players while pushing them hard enough to create a callus. And through it all, he showed the sort of presence and leadership that the football people knew owner Amy Adams Strunk was looking for, the type that Mike Vrabel brought to the building from 2018 through 2023. So the ownership group sat in for the quarterback planning piece of the 3-hour session and then brought Robert Saleh to the cafeteria for dinner. And the second part of the interview, that was for another hour and a half, where Amy got to see Saleh's energy and presence for herself. And then Borgonzi, according to Breer, made the recommendation that Saleh was the guy, feeling that there was no more reason to wait, as the team's exhaustive research matched what they had witnessed in the previous 5 hours, and he was offered the job on the spot.
So that part, and I saw like Jeff Darlington commenting on that on Twitter. Did you see this tweet? Basically, it's almost like they should have hired Mike Vrabel. Like, that's going to become a very tired narrative to Titans fans because, yes, what happened here with Mike Vrabel was unfortunate, and the way that it ended up working out for Mike and not in favor of the Titans is unfortunate for Titans fans. It's not worth reliving that kind of history, but Vrabel is going to get mentioned. Like, if he ends up in the Super Bowl, they're going to talk about why the Titans let him go. Like, it's going to be an unavoidable narrative as a part of, what's happening in New England right now. Now, the idea, that quote, he showed the sort of presence and leadership that the football people knew owner Amy Adams Strunk was looking for, the type that Mike Vrabel brought to the building from 2018 to 2023. Everything, and I have no idea what kind of person Robert Saleh is until we get some kind of elongated interaction with him. But everything that, like, Diana mentioned about Robert Saleh, and that we'll ask Zach Rosenblatt about it, who covered him very closely with the Jets for 3 years. He has a background that would make you think Vrabel, but a personality that sounds more like Callahan. Not like, I don't know how many people heard the Jeff Simmons interview on Bussin' with the Boys. It was really good.
You're just talking about with the media.
Yes.
Yeah, like not in the locker room and with players, like in how he handles criticism.
Accountability. Accountability as far as how he held players accountable or did not do a good enough job holding players accountable, which is something that we'll talk to Zach Rosenblatt about because it was mentioned in his piece. And it's also something that Diana brought up yesterday as far as how that went. Now, again, the X factor for can you hold Aaron Rodgers accountable? If Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be held accountable, doesn't matter. And how much does that bleed into a locker room? Like, that's the unanswerable question here because we know that he's a different kind of a figure than basically anybody else in football.
I mean, remember when Rodgers skipped out on OTAs? He was like going to...
He went to Egypt.
Egypt, that's what it was. He was like on vacation.
It wasn't OTAs. It was the mandatory stuff.
Mandatory minicamp.
Yeah.
So...
Because he didn't want to reschedule the Egypt trip.
Right. So he skipped out on that.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember Saleh's comments when he had to face media during that period. He looked pretty helpless. He's basically like, yeah, that's over my head. That's above my decision. Like, that's Aaron Rodgers telling Woody Johnson, hey, I'm going to be in Egypt. I'm going to miss mandatory minicamp. And Woody Johnson being like, okay, go ahead. What is Robert Saleh going to do in that situation? That feels like a hard situation to hold someone accountable in.
Yeah, and I think Saleh got up there because I remember we talked about that press conference because Saleh, like, what was, to your point, what's Saleh going to do?
He looked helpless. It's like, what do you want me to say? But he's going to Egypt. That's what I can do about it.
You can't. Like I said though, like there is no Aaron Rodgers in this building, so perhaps it will be an easier thing for him to get a grip on. And also, he understands some of the rhythms that he may have had or may have missed on in New York that he can apply to this situation. Just because somebody was one kind of a coach in their first experience does not mean that's who they will be forever.
Now, with that said, there is a lot in that Zach Rosenblatt article about Saleh's kind of mishandling of certain media situations, like caring too much about what is being said about him on sports talk radio in New York or what somebody has written.
Which is very much a Callahan thing.
And that is very different. The New York market, obviously, is very different from the Nashville market. But that'll be something that I'm sure we'll monitor when he gets here. Because in the New York market, you just have to feel overwhelmed. Like, you just have to feel like you're drowning in the masses.
It's a tough spot for a first-time head coach.
Yeah. Whereas in Nashville, it's a little more focalized, right? When somebody says something about you, it's a little bit louder than if X random New York blogger says something about you.
I would think it would be easier to block out in New York than it would be here just because it's so much smaller.
Yeah, but it's the volume of it is also so much bigger, and there's such a wider audience. Like WFAN, is the most iconic sports radio station in sports radio history. So
don't sleep on us. We got 2 million people within the sound of our voice. Easy there.
Marconi finalists.
Relax.
But that is an interesting component of this that has been brought up with Saleh.
Well, yeah, no, it's a fair question, I think, in the press conference. How are you going to block out the outside noise? Because apparently that's not something you did well in New York. That's something that you have to be able to do, especially in a place that's not New York. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in and participate at any point in time. Like I said, Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, who covers the New York Jets, will join us at 12:20, and we will understand more information and get some additional context to Zach's piece about the things that he did well, rather the things that Saleh did well and the things that Saleh did poorly that ultimately saw him fail as the Jets head coach. You have SEC observations?
I do.
They're next.
So after a 16-0 start to the season, Vanderbilt has dropped 3 in a row. The latest last night in Fayetteville, a 93-68 loss to Coach Cal and the Arkansas Razorbacks. So Vanderbilt went from 3-0 at the top of the SEC standings to 3-3, and the Commodores are reeling a little bit. Now, there was always going to be a leveling out of some sort. Very impressive start to the season that included a signature win where Vandy was able to outscore Alabama at home. But they've been punched in the mouth a little bit in these last 3 games, and I'll be curious to see how they respond here moving forward. It feels like the common trend in these Vandy losses is being out-physicaled a little bit under the basket. Great bounce-back opportunity coming up Saturday on the road at Mississippi State, but especially against Florida and Arkansas, I think Vandy had a hard time dealing with the length and physicality of both of those teams.
You saw what Mark Byington said, didn't you?
I did not.
Quote, just speaking from the heart, that was embarrassing. And I mean, it was. They were just soundly handled. But there's way greater shame right now in college basketball than losing to this Arkansas team. Arkansas is good. Like, they're just objectively a good basketball team. They're a talented basketball team. They're a physical basketball team. I am very impressed with the job that Byington has done thus far. And listen, Michigan, who's, you asked me if the Michigan game where inevitably they would beat Indiana.
Destroyed Indiana.
I know, I watched. It was unpleasant. If that would take any joy out of my life from the national championship game, I would say that it would. But Michigan has even had some struggles. Now, they haven't lost 3 in a row the way that Vanderbilt does, but like this is a common thing in college basketball during a basketball season, during any season that's this long, basketball, hockey in particular. You'll see slumps. Now, I don't know that it's something that Mark Byington can't get corrected. It is disappointing to see them falter this much in conference play. I mean, you probably feel similarly about Tennessee, no?
I will say this about Tennessee.
Different problem,
this week. I feel like Vols don't have a midweek game this week. They are back in action on Saturday as they take on Alabama on the road. So tall task to try and go and outscore Alabama in Tuscaloosa, but I think Vols fans are perfectly fine with taking a little bit of a break from watching this team after that meltdown against Kentucky on Saturday. This Tennessee team is one that feels like it just has to mature and evolve into a way that hopefully for that team peaks in March, right? Hopefully Nate Ament, something clicks with him and he figures it out and can kind of assert himself a little more, that they stop with the unnecessary turnovers. As good as Jacoby Gillespie has been at times, scoring the ball, running the offense, man, some of the careless giveaways have plagued this team. It's a huge reason.
It's a very inconsistent
why they
player.
lost. He is slightly inconsistent. A very talented player, but unfortunately a big reason for the late surge that Kentucky had in Knoxville on Saturday to win. So right now, at the top of the SEC standings, Florida is 5-1. Got a big win over Vanderbilt, of course, on Saturday, and then routed LSU at home yesterday. And how about Bucky McMillan and Texas A&M? They are 14-4 overall, 4-1 in league play. The one loss to Tennessee, a crazy double overtime game a couple of weeks ago. But Bucky McMillan, in his first Power 4 coaching job, has Texas A&M playing buckyball to the max. And they host Mississippi State tonight with a great chance to get to 5-1 in conference play. But it's a logjam at the top of the conference. 4 teams with 4 or more wins. Be an interesting race for the regular season title.
You have some additional basketball? Or football stuff?
Yeah, so there's this story that Tennessee fans have kind of been confused by, I guess, with Arion Carter coming back. The linebacker who I know that I feel old whenever we've got guys that we had on as our high school football hero of the week that are like declaring for the draft now or in the NFL. That's how I know.
You feel old because you are old now.
But Arion Carter, Smyrna High School product.
So many grays.
Declared for the NFL draft. I don't mind the grays.
No, I kind of like them.
Yeah, I kind of like the salt and pepper look. He declared for the draft a few weeks ago, and suddenly, on Friday, announced that he is withdrawing his name from the NFL draft and entering his name into the transfer portal. And then reports start to pop up that A&M and Alabama are favored to potentially land Arion Carter, and Tennessee fans are losing their minds for the linebacker that's been a pillar of that defense that's led them in tackles over the last 2 years. Here's what happened with Arion Carter. He found out on Friday afternoon, the day the transfer portal closed, that he was going to need surgery on the toe injury that he tried to play through all year. He was getting good feedback from NFL teams, felt good about the draft grade he was getting, but then when he learned that he was going to need surgery that would shut him down for 3 to 6 months, that would significantly impact his draft grade, wouldn't allow him to participate in the combine, so he decided the best course of action at that point would be to return to college. And since the portal was closing on that day, Arion Carter filed the paperwork to put his name into the portal to have a contingency plan in case Tennessee wasn't able to take him back. Because they went and replaced him. They went and got Amari Campbell, the lead tackler for Penn State last year. Luckily for Arion Carter, they worked it out. He is back, and suddenly Tennessee's linebacker room may be the deepest on the roster with guys like Edwin Spillman and Jeremiah Thielander and Jaden Perlotti coming back, Carter returning, and Amari Campbell thrown on top of that. So kind of a wild ending to the transfer portal for Tennessee as they suddenly get back a leader on the defense, but he will remain a Vol, and I think that's what he always wanted to do, was to stay at Tennessee with that continuity, even with a new defensive coordinator coming in.
Did you talk much about the transfer portal quarterback on Monday?
Ryan Staub, no, we didn't get to that. Monday was insane with the divisional round and the Titans coaching search and the national championship. Ryan Staub is the quarterback that Tennessee lands in the portal.
Do you think he enjoyed not having either of us here to bog him down on Monday?
Maybe just you.
Yeah, I miss Bert. Ross did a great job. But Tennessee tried to throw money.
Yes, you have something?
Go ahead.
No, I just didn't know. Was he one of the crappy ones that they couldn't decide if they wanted to start or not? Or
I will be very surprised if Ryan Staub is Tennessee's starting quarterback this year.
so he's kind of just like a depth dude. then.
That's how I see it. I think he is a warm body, a scholarship quarterback, which you need. You can't go into a season with just two. They threw money at Sam Leavitt. LSU lands him. They tried to throw money at Ty Simpson. He's going to the NFL draft. So they needed to go get somebody. They get Ryan Staub. We did learn just this past week that Joey Aguilar will have a preliminary injunction hearing along with Diego Pavia. It's all part of the same lawsuit, trying to get an extra year of eligibility from the NCAA. So there will be a hearing. I believe the date is February 10th. The best case scenario for Tennessee, as the portal has basically come and gone. By the way, you can still add players from the portal. You just can't enter the portal anymore if you're a player. But the quarterbacks certainly are all off the board. We could talk at some point later about this Mensa situation. It's messy with the Duke quarterback trying to go to Miami.
Do we need the lawyer? Do we need Dan?
We might need Dan, actually. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it looks like Ryan Staub, George McIntyre, and Faison Brandon will battle it out. I'd say McIntyre, probably the favorite there, having a year in this system under his belt. But the best case scenario is absolutely for Tennessee and Joey Aguilar to get good news on that front, and he returns as a one-year bridge starting option, and you get back the lead passer in the SEC last year, along with what should be a much improved defense led by Jim Knowles. But we'll see.
So you're still terrified?
Yes.
Slightly.
Because like your plan was like, oh, they're neither one of these. I can't even do my Cheyenne voice. My voice is
Come on,
No,
try.
It's okay.
Oh, what are we gonna do? We don't have any. I can't do it. Sorry.
so bad.
You know what? For the audience, just the breathing into the microphone. Let's not.
We can't start a quarterback that doesn't play before. We have to start someone. Hypo doesn't do that. Like now, you're gonna have to start one of those dudes.
Most likely.
So the plan has not changed. The field is the exact same.
The exact same. There's just a third guy in there.
Unless he turns into from Staub to Staubach. Like you're gonna. Did that one get you? Did that one get you, buddy?
I just realized that you have not had the opportunity to roast Josh Allen for crying at a post-game press conference.
That would be the seventh thing I would roast about the Bills at this point.
We can do a little bit of that because we have the dumbest thing in sports this week coming up next for your opportunity to win some tickets to Rascal Flats. 615-737-1045 is the number. Call in. Robert will put you on hold, and you will give us your dumbest thing in sports this week next.
11 o'clock. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Robert Saleh is reportedly set to be the next head coach of the Titans, and the attention now turns to the search for an offensive coordinator. Mike McDaniel is off the board as he's reportedly taking the Chargers OC job. Diana Rossini reported this morning that former Giants head coach Brian Daboll is expected to land in Tennessee if he does not get the Bills head coaching job. College basketball, Vanderbilt fell at Arkansas on Tuesday, 93-68. It marks a third straight loss for the Commodores after a 16-0 start. And the Nashville Predators started a 3-game homestand with a 5-3 loss to the Sabres last night. They host the Senators tomorrow. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Six 615-737-1045. What's the dumbest thing in sports this week? Okay, now wait a second. Are we all doing the Buffalo Bills press conference that just happened?
Just you and I.
Okay. No, I've got a separate general manager who is a little dummy.
Okay. I'm going to let Lucas go first because I think we should go sequentially here for how this went down in the Bills press conference.
Chronological. In Terry Pegula's press conference, which happened this morning, I believe, to talk about
how did you say his name?
Pegula. Okay, now you've got me scrambled because I've always said Pegula. Pegula.
It sounds like a
Pegula?
Pegula. Pegula.
You asked me this in the commercial break. I told you how to say it. You lied to him, didn't you?
No, I only do that to you. I only do that to you with
Pegula. Pegula.
That's wrong.
That's not correct.
That sounds like a weird Dracula.
It is Pegula.
Like a Dracula
That's what I just
you
said,
would want
Pegula.
behind you.
No, you're very much emphasizing the peg.
Pegula.
Now I don't even remember how to say it correctly.
Okay, Terry Pegula,
No.
the Bills owner. That's what
Look at it now. He's
I'm
scared
saying
of
it
it.
the same way.
Say it like the dog, like Pagula.
Pegula.
There you go.
Pegula.
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 Yes, exactly.
There you go.
All right, we found
Now you
out.
have to say it in that accent every time.
Terry Pegula,
No.
the Bills owner,
Who?
holding a press conference with Bills general manager Brandon Beane and what's his new position?
President of Football Operations.
President of Football Operations.
So he is what John Robinson was in the latter half of John's career by title, which is kind of football overlord.
Yes. Now, Pegula has put his foot in his mouth multiple times during this press conference, and we will go chronologically. This is essentially how he opened the presser. So, Robert, can we do kind of a brief narration here? I'll just say pause after certain moments to add little snippets, context.
Oh, another dramatic reading.
More or less. More like just clarifying some of the things
This was
that
some of our finest work last week.
Terry Pegula is saying at his press conference earlier today.
My decision to bring in a new coach was based on the results of our game in Denver.
Pause. Despite the fact that your quarterback turned it over 5 times and one of the more controversial officiating decisions in postseason history in the modern era is what directly led to the outcome of that game. Yes, coaching was the biggest reason the Buffalo Bills lost to the Broncos on Saturday.
I want to take you in the locker room after that game. I looked around. First thing I noticed was our quarterback with his head down, crying.
Like a baby.
I looked at all the other players. I looked at their faces and our coaches. I walked over to Josh. He didn't even acknowledge I was there. First thing I said to him, I said, "That was a catch."
Pause. I'm sure the one thing Josh Allen wanted to hear in that moment was the owner being like, yeah, that was a catch. You got screwed. Also, it wasn't a catch. It was an interception.
It was absolutely an interception.
You have to say resume.
Resume.
We all know what I'm talking about.
Yes, Terry.
He didn't acknowledge me. He just sat there sobbing. He was listless. He had given everything he had.
Pause. Including the ball to the Broncos defense on 5 occasions. Almost 6 if the Bills didn't recover one of his many fumbles.
Did Sean McDermott get fired because Terry Pagula went to talk to his sobbing quarterback after the game and he didn't say anything to the owner?
Resume.
To try to win that game. And looking around, so did all the other players on the team.
Pause. Well, it's the end of the quote, but also pause. Except for our dadgum coach, Sean McDermott. Everyone gave everything. Few gave some, and some gave all, except for that dadgum coach who gave none. And he's out of here.
Is this guy an idiot?
Sounds like it.
As a media member, I want to ask questions of Amy Adams Strunk. If I was a Titans fan, I would want her nowhere near a microphone ever, just for the chance that it goes as poorly as Gail Benson or Terry Pagula or I don't know who, Woody Johnson. Like, I don't know if it would go poorly. I don't know if she would acquit herself well. Because the last time that we did want anything close was the Jeff Simmons press conference, and I thought she killed it. God.
But there's more.
No.
But wait.
Oh, wait, my part?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your part. This is the best
This
part.
is the best. This is
Confirmed
good stuff.
idiot. All right. So Terry Pagula has decided to fire the coach who is doing as good a job as humanly possible with a roster besides Josh Allen that is damn near the Tennessee Titans in 2025. Okay? Like, they're bad.
All right. Why don't we maybe ease it with the
It
hyperbole?
ain't that bad.
Yeah.
They just don't have Pro Bowlers.
It's the worst
not get
roster
extreme.
Josh Allen. It's the worst roster Josh Allen's ever been on.
Maybe his rookie year.
Rookie year was tough.
Yeah. All right. Again, with the extremism, like let's just get to the quote here.
Would you say
It's the worst roster ever constructed in the history of the NFL?
it's definitely Josh Allen's worst roster that he's been to the playoffs with?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, what they do instead is they don't fire Brandon Beane, the general manager. They promote him. And in fielding questions about Brandon Beane's promotion and job security, Terry Pagula takes a pause.
Yeah, can I interrupt? I'll address the Keon situation. The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon wouldn't have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. That was Brandon being a team player and taking advice of his coaching staff, who felt strongly about the player. And, he's taken, for some reason, heat over it and not saying a word about it. But I'm here to tell you the true story.
Lie, because there are now video receipts all over the internet of Brandon Beane, then the Bills general manager, talking about how excited he was to draft Keon Coleman, and in fact, talking about things that were happening around Keon Coleman in the second round that would allow Keon Coleman to fall to the Bills. Lie. It's unbelievable.
I also love the fact that he's like, yeah, it wasn't Brandon Beane, it was our dumbass coaching staff. Yeah. Meanwhile, they're in the middle of interviewing their OC to be the next head coach. It's like, yeah, that dumbass coaching staff, by the way, roll out the red carpet for Joe Brady.
McDermott, everybody on McDermott's staff is still there in theory. Also, Keon Coleman's still there.
Still on the roster. Yep.
You need Keon Coleman to care about playing for the Buffalo Bills next year, and your owner's just like,
Don't blame him.
We didn't want him in the first place. It was the coaching staff, except the whole coaching staff. Joe Brady may be the next coach of the Bills, the offensive coordinator who was on the staff when they drafted Keon Coleman. This guy, just unbelievable.
He's guaranteed to be a Howie Roseman draft pick, right? Or a trade in the offseason, right? Howie Roseman's 100% going to go like, oh, yeah, I'll take Keon Coleman.
Sure, I'll take him for a 7th.
Yeah, for nothing. You guys hate him,
Idiots.
obviously. Like, what a goober. It's
I mean,
great.
so bad.
Could they have handled losing to the Broncos any worse? Like,
No.
was it not bad enough that Buffalo was like, this is our best shot? No Burrow, no Mahomes, no Lamar, nothing standing in our way. Bunch of goobers, bunch of people that are rookies and old-ass coaches, and, like, people have the easiest path.
It's
They
unbelievable.
lost to the Patriots.
I love how much you sounded like Stavros there doing one of those videos, except instead of crying, Flacco. It's just something I trust about that guy.
There's something I trust about that guy, Flacco.
I mean, the first thing that we all said when we learned Sean McDermott was fired was, what? Was coaching even top 5 on the list of reasons why the Bills lost on Saturday? And then the first thing the owner says is the Broncos result is why I fired Sean McDermott.
When are we going to talk about Josh Allen being a choking dog in that game? Like, I know he almost got him back. Like,
It was the best and worst of Josh Allen.
Yes,
just all in one.
Bert, I did they booked me on The Odd Couple last night, that Rob Parker Fox Sports 1 show, or Fox Sports Radio show. And they asked me about would Josh Allen or would Lamar Jackson receive the same kind of coddling that Josh Allen is getting. And I immediately thought of you, not because you hate the Bills and you want to see them suffer, but also because I think it's completely ridiculous that people are hand-holding Josh Allen when he's the reason they lost that game.
He's the reason they lost.
He's getting the Justin Herbert treatment. Like, everyone's just like, oh, it's okay, buddy. You're crying. Oh, you're crying? Oh, it hurt?
Like, I got no, like the crying or whatever, like if you want to bash him for crying at the podium, those are emotional moments. Tougher guys than Josh Allen will cry at podiums when their teams go down that way. Like, it's not the end of the world that he cried. But, like, don't coddle him. He's an MVP. He's the reigning MVP of the league until they name another one this year. He's the reason they lost that game. Why is the media, not, understanding that I'm a part of media, why are people so quick to defend Josh Allen that way? It's like the MVP. He shouldn't have been the MVP, and yet people immediately rush to that when it was Lamar Jackson's best year as a 2-time MVP. Anyway, what's your dumbest thing in sports?
My dumbest thing in sports would have to be, I also picked this a couple days ago in case that I would be here. So Joe Shane had a press conference of some sorts where he was talking to the media, and the delegation of who has the final say, who's going to have roster say, who's going to have draft pick say. Joe Shane was asked about it and had this to say when the delegation of picking comes between him and John Harbaugh.
And I'm not worried about that. Everywhere I've been in the league for 26 years. So everywhere I've been, the head coach and general manager work together. That's the only way it's going to work. And get on the same page, go through the process. Again, we've done it everywhere I've been, so I'm not worried about it. Like you said, that's just something on a piece of paper doesn't matter. We need to.
Yeah, just something on a piece of paper doesn't matter. Yeah, that thing on a piece of paper held this contract up for 4 days, dude. It definitely matters. It definitely matters. John definitely doesn't trust you. You're definitely going to need another job next year. Yeah, guys, everywhere I've ever been, the general manager and the head coach work together. Yeah, I would hope so. I would road work ahead. I sure hope it does. What do you mean? So I just thought it was really dumb that he was like, yeah, nothing to worry about here. I've definitely got some say, much less than previous, but I still have something to say.
Giants fans getting ready to learn all about the word collaboration.
I also thought it was funny that as soon as Harbaugh gets this job, it was like Harbaugh didn't have as much say as he wanted in Baltimore. He wanted Puka Nacua. And normally I would be like, yeah, that's fine and dandy to come out after the fact. But I do remember after they played the Rams, John was like, he was the highest player rated on my board like 7 times that week. So John did want Puka Nacua. He did not get him. Congratulations. John also wanted Daniel Falele. John also wanted Ben Cleveland. John also wanted Andrew Voorhees.
You're naming random Ravens offensive linemen that the Titans fan base does not know.
Well, they and you wouldn't know because they're not good.
Although they were talking about those guys in that Steelers game as if they were integral parts of the Ravens' success this year on the broadcast, and I was like, I know Robert hates all of them.
Yeah, that's why I just listen to it on mute, man. I don't listen. Anytime it's a national game, I'm like, you guys have no clue.
Saying that's just something on a piece of paper is a wild thing to say about a binding contract.
That took 4 days to negotiate.
It's just something on a piece of paper, you know? Who really
that guy
cares?
is so pre-fired.
If you're looking for a raise out there, just walk into your boss's office and just say, hey, you didn't pay me enough. You underpaid me last month. That's what your contract, well, it's just a piece of paper. What are we talking about here?
615-737-1045. What's your dumbest thing in sports? Wes is in Donaldson. Robert, fade the phone pod up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Wes. I can hear you now.
All right, Robert, please don't mess up my dumbest thing in sport. Come on, man. Anyways, I don't know if y'all saw this, and I'm not to pick on Holly Rowe, but her tweet right after the national championship where she said, Mark Fletcher Jr., total class act. He waited for hours to embrace sweet Fernando. And then if you do a quick Google search right now of Mark Fletcher Jr., the first thing that's going to pop up is him looking like George Foreman trying to knock out an Indiana player.
Now, wait, Wes, you know why that happened, right? Why he swung on that defensive tackle?
I don't know.
The defensive tackle for Indiana invoked Mark Fletcher's dead father, okay? Like, Mark Fletcher was well within his rights to swing on that guy. So, like,
yes,
that's a completely different situation. Appreciate the call.
Should have knocked him out for sure.
Eric is in Clarksville.
Good morning, guys. I'm going to try my best not to go over the minute here, but there was reports yesterday that Charles Bediako, former Alabama basketball player from 22 to 23, would be suing the NCAA asking for immediate preliminary and permanent injunctive relief that would allow him to return to Alabama to play basketball. And it came out today that he has been granted a temporary restraining order and is immediately eligible to play for Alabama against the Tennessee Volunteers Saturday. A player who has been in the NBA for 3 years, has not played in college in 3 years, who has been with the Spurs, the Pistons, and the Nuggets. Keep in mind, this has been G League, but still professional basketball.
Sure.
Is coming back to college to play. That is ridiculous. It's the NCAA did this to themselves. It's ridiculous that this is even being allowed to happen. So, yeah, that's my dumbest thing in sports. Thanks, guys.
That's a good one. Remember to stay on hold for the opportunity to win those tickets.
This dude enrolled at Alabama in 2021 out of high school. He is 23. He'll be 24 on March 10th. So when the NCAA tournament is happening, he will be 24 years old, having had multiple years of experience in the NBA G League.
Listen, if Indiana basketball or if Tennessee basketball did it, like, as fans, we would be okay with it, right? Or would you have some kind of... Like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, whatever helps my basketball team win. I'm of two minds of this, because I think that this is rotten. But if it's allowed for the time being, then I also want my school to take advantage of it.
Yeah, like, I can't sit here and blame Alabama. Like, I'm not going to point at Nate Oates and call him classless for doing this. I'm not going to do that for Scott Drew either. It sucks that Tennessee has to play a guy who's been playing in the G League for the last few years on Saturday, however much he does play. I mean, he just now got granted the eligibility. But, yeah, it's not great. Not a great look.
Let's go to Eric. No, we just took Eric. Let's go to Doug in Nashville.
Hey, guys. A couple weeks ago, Bama was here playing Vanderbilt in basketball, and the Bama guy took a foul shot. He bricked it. The ball came right back to him, and he just threw it back up at the backboard.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the announcer didn't say anything. But then later on the same game, a different guy did the same thing. He missed the foul shot. He just threw the ball back up the backboard, and then the ref called him for a delay of game technical.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. It's like, it's so dumb.
Appreciate the call. I saw the second one. I missed the first one because the announcers did bring it up the second time around because he did get a technical. It was a weird thing. Jeremy is in Gallatin.
I'm just going to say that probably Carson Beck is the dumbest thing in sports this week because, I mean, you got people on Miami side coming over to, congratulate Mendoza, and then you got Carson Beck just being a big baby walking off the field.
Oh, did he? I didn't see it.
Yeah, he walked straight off. Yeah.
Yep, didn't talk to anybody or anything and just kind of was just like, whatever, like, I lost. Like, but you're in the biggest stage in the college football and you're going to act like that. Get over it, man. That's so dumb.
I can't imagine how I would react in that moment. Like, that's it's the last play of his college football career. But yeah,
I think we all like to think that we would do better. Again, I'm not saying that it's right what he did or that I wouldn't defend it, but I think we all think that we would handle those kind of situations, especially when you lose the pick or you throw the pick that loses the game.
It's easy to point to and criticize, but I don't know how I would react.
I'm certain I would handle that poorly.
Did you guys see the stat that he only lost 6 games in college, right? 4 of those losses were where he threw an interception, with the game on the line.
But think about that. Like, think about how much higher the standard is for college players. He's only lost 6 games in his career. He's been in college football for so long. He's played in huge games. And there's this stigma around Carson Beck that he's some kind of, I don't know, that he's some kind of choke artist almost, it feels like. Okay.
I think Eric with the Bama player, that happening in college sports.
It's wrong. It's dumb. As long as it's allowed, I want my team to do it.
Sure.
But it's still dumb. So well done, Eric. You will enjoy the Rascal Flatts concert coming up very soon. NFL headlines are next. You've got one life, and it's too short for not nows, maybe laters, and tomorrows. If you're noticing issues with ED or performance, then your relationships, your confidence, and even your career has already been affected in all likelihood. Online folks promise convenience and discretion, but their treatments are generic and some even unsafe. Guys, no more excuses. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is the state's first men's health-focused urology practice. Multiple urologists and providers focus solely on male performance. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. Since 2014, they've pioneered men's health in Tennessee and have been testing and growing to make sure that you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatments. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 right now, or book online in under 30 seconds at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
It's time for some funky NFL headlines with Lucas Panzica.
I mean, just seamless production work today.
No, that's called a hook.
What's a hook?
A hook. You gotta get people with the funky, fresh intro. Oh, this is groovy. What are we talking about here? Boom. MSNBC theme.
Oh, what's going on now? It definitely wasn't because I forgot there were headlines and I put another music bed in and then I forgot to click the right pot to turn the music bed on. It wasn't any of that.
We keep people guessing.
Give you a hook.
Keep people on their toes. So, Mike McDaniel is set to be named the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. He's going to go work for Jim Harbaugh, replacing Greg Roman. Justin Herbert will be his quarterback. He was interviewing for head coaching jobs. I guess he didn't like his prospects. You would imagine Mike McDaniel would have preferred to get another head coaching opportunity, but he gets a chance to change the narrative a little bit on Justin Herbert and find a breakthrough of sorts in the postseason. Obviously, that is the first name that Titans fans were pining for as Robert Saleh's offensive coordinator. There was reporting that Saleh would have liked to bring in Mike McDaniel as his OC. That will not be the case, and he lands in L.A.
Of course he would have liked to. That would have been an ideal circumstance for Robert Saleh. Now, what does Mike McDaniel have to do with Justin Herbert to, A, get Mike McDaniel another head coaching job, and B, help Justin Herbert beat the allegations? Because if he, he's fine during the regular season, Justin Herbert. Yep. I mean, he's not a problem the way that he has been in the postseason, where he just kind of, I don't know, he looked just kind of gun shy in that game against the Patriots. 3 points offensively is pathetic. And some of the mistakes that he were making, maybe it's kind of like a C.J. Stroud adjacent situation where his pass protection has been bad all year long. They held up okay against the Pats, but he's just a little broken in that moment. So it impacts his play. If Mike McDaniel gets the best version of Justin Herbert, we've already seen a really, really good version of Justin Herbert, but it's been in the regular season. Like, the Chargers have to have a meaningful playoff run for people to buy in on the idea that Justin Herbert is the kind of player that people want him to be. He's the biggest, or the player that people try to manifest greatness onto the most in the NFL, right?
Yeah, right. Current quarterbacks that have yet to have something to show for it.
Yeah, like Lamar has done. How many times do you think Joe Burrow's been to the playoffs? Do you know the answer to
Just the
question?
once, right?
Twice.
What was the other one?
But don't we talk about Joe Burrow as being perpetually kind of in the mix this way?
Yeah, like when you look window at the resumes, is his career.
Yeah. Like that's all well and good. Yeah, and I'm not saying that. And Joe Burrow's obviously excellent.
There's so much. Like, we're capable of seeing the context around that, right? On how bad the Bengals defense has been. Like, last year, we were talking about if the Bengals were in the playoffs, Joe Burrow would have been the MVP.
Yeah,
I have almost no doubt about that. He was the best quarterback in the NFL last year, arguably.
You mean so not this season? Not this most recent
2024.
Season, 2 seasons ago.
Yes.
I think that's fair. So it's a smart move by McDaniel, and this is the kind of thing that you're up against, right? It's a really tough thing for the Titans to have to work through, and to their credit, they're trying to make the best of a not ideal situation. But 10 head coaching jobs came open. 2 of them are coaching former NFL MVPs in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, which will, of course, come with offensive coordinator positions as well. And the other OC opportunity that came open is Justin Damn Herbert, who's thought to be one of the most talented players in the NFL he just hasn't reached his potential. So, smart move by McDaniel. We'll see how that marriage goes. It's certainly a departure from Greg Roman. Although, I don't know. I mean, Greg Roman, famous for his run game, that's Mike McDaniel's specialty. So we'll see how it works.
Yeah, I think the expectation there is that Mike McDaniel can do more with the quarterback. And I get why that's appealing to Mike McDaniel, right? The Chargers were just in the playoffs. The AFC West, I think, is still a division that will be contended for by multiple teams next year, right? You have the Broncos there at the top. The Chiefs, we'll see how they bounce back. But it's not crazy to think of a scenario where the Chargers are in contention to win that division next year. And you have an established quarterback in Justin Herbert who is loaded with talent and is just trying to get over that hump. And you weigh that with the potential of Cam Ward and kind of the blank slate that the Titans provide. and McDaniel opts to go to Los Angeles. So it seems as though the Titans offensive coordinator search has fixated on Brian Daboll. Diana Rossini reported this morning that Daboll, if he does not land the head coaching job in Buffalo, which he obviously wants, she expects him to wind up in Tennessee as the offensive coordinator for Robert Saleh. So now Titans fans will be on Bill's head coaching search watch to see what happens with Daboll, who is reportedly out of the running to be the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, where he was also a candidate.
So that's best case scenario in the absence of McDaniel for Cam, because you get a coach who obviously believed in Cam Ward, as I mentioned earlier in the show, and I'm sure it's been brought up other places.
Yeah.
The New York Giants tried to trade up to acquire Cam Ward. The Titans turned them down for the right to draft Cam Ward, as Adam Schefter reported on, as the pick was being submitted on the draft night or the night of the first round last year. Daboll, as an offensive coordinator, is fascinating because just like Saleh, where you look at it like what would be a reasonable expectation for the Titans offense right now, just like Saleh with the Titans defense, they just need better players before you can make any kind of estimation about how much better they can be versus what they have. Is Daboll has a significantly better track record than anybody the Titans have had as an offensive coordinator since since who? I mean, you would have to go back, what? Have they ever had as good an offense? What? Yeah, he's moaning very sensually into the microphone.
I just love when you ask a good question to him. Like, he's like a Confucius turtle in like Kung Fu Panda.
Well,
like,
and if I just want to, it's one of those things where if I just want him to make that sound, I can either ask him a really good question that makes him think, or I can talk about pasta.
Yes. What kind of pasta is best with a soup, Lucas? Is it fusilli?
Yes.
Oh,
without a doubt. Great when you're not feeling too well, too, by the way.
Answer the question.
And I thought that would be pastini. Wouldn't that be the stars?
Both are good. Fusilli is, yes, pastini is the stars. Fusilli is like the tiny little, it's like, think of like a tiny little rigatoni.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Okay. So the resume, the prestige of what Brian Daboll has done in his career, I don't know that there is a Titans offensive coordinator that I can think of that arrived in Tennessee with that sort of resume.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't
he may
think
be the
there
most
is.
qualified offensive coordinator that the Titans have ever had.
It's very possible. It's very possible that would be the case. Now, I would be, Heimerdinger has pointed out in the F&M Bank chat. He had a great career leading up to his time in Tennessee, but certainly in the modern sort of age, in the last 10, 15 years, it absolutely would be Brian Daboll. Absolutely. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, 4 openings have been filled across the NFL coaching carousel. 6 remain. We've talked about Buffalo. Brian Daboll, a candidate. Joe Brady is a candidate. Anthony Lynn will get a second interview. He is the former Chargers head coach. Where was Anthony Lynn working this past year? Defensive-minded guy. Oh, he was on staff in Buffalo.
Yeah. Wasn't he like a running backs coach or something like that?
Correct.
No, he was in Washington, actually.
This year?
He hasn't worked in Buffalo in like a decade.
So he was a running backs coach with the Commanders.
Correct. Yes. So
maybe somebody tweeted out a picture of him in Bills gear today.
There has been a little bit of smoke about Mike McCarthy. Well, yeah, he worked for the Bills about a decade ago. There's been some smoke about Mike McCarthy potentially landing in Pittsburgh, his hometown. I haven't seen anything really concrete elsewhere about the Pittsburgh job. Robert, what's the latest on the Ravens job?
Slow and steady, baby.
So nothing.
Literally
You got
nothing. No, they're waiting to do second interviews with all these guys that are in the playoffs: Clint Kubiak, Chris Shula, Sheil Haas, all those dudes. So no, it's steady and firm, like my love life belly. Which one would work better?
Neither.
Yeah, my belly's pretty firm now. Look, we're not. Doesn't that sound taut?
Do you not have a favorite? Like, do you not have a preferred candidate as a Ravens fan?
It changes daily. Like,
Does it really? I thought because you were all in on Anthony Weaver for a while.
No, I like Weaver, but then the question is the same question as here. Like, do you put Lamar with a lame duck offensive coordinator? Like, who's going to be calling the offense? He's kind of the more CEO, head coach type that's in this draft, but also in this head coaching search. But
might as well be a draft at this point.
I'm also fascinated by guys like Clint Kubiak, who would help a lot on offense, and you wouldn't have to worry about so much. And also, we haven't had someone who calls plays as the head coach in my fandom since like 2008. And I don't even know if Billick called plays either. That was before my fandom. So interested in Shula, interested in Kubiak, interested in Weaver, interested in all those dudes. I said this back when this started. I will be happy with whoever they hire because I trust their ability to do so. Like, I'm going to trust that they have better.
Must that be nice? My God.
It's just where I'm sitting right now, and it may be wrong from 2 years from now. Like,
what a luxury.
If they hire Cliff Kingsbury, am I going to be happy about it? Like, no, but I'm going to see the silver lining because I trust their opinions, even though I would be like, no, it's a terrible decision.
Ditalini, by the way, that's one of the best.
Ditalini?
Soup pastas. Yeah, that's the tiny little rigatoni. That's it's great for like pasta fagioli.
Give credit to the chat. You didn't come up with that on your own.
How do you spell
No, the
it?
chat did not point that out. The chat did not point that out.
The chat did, in fact,
Who was
point
it?
that out.
I do not see anything about Ditalini in the chat.
Scroll up.
Yeah, I still don't see any.
Excellent radio.
What's a better job, Baltimore or Buffalo? I did see Mike Greenberg tweeted that the Bills owner has done the impossible this morning. They've made the opportunity to coach a team with Josh Allen as quarterback less appealing.
Yeah.
Don't take my word for it as a fan. You can listen to if I can get it to stop, but it won't. Ben Solak talked about this morning.
Good, because Josh Allen's there. Don't get me wrong, I'd be very excited to coach Josh Allen. But the guy outgoing, Sean McDermott, he had 7 consecutive seasons of 10-plus wins. He had 6 seasons of winning a playoff game, and ownership just told you that's not good enough. That's very challenging, I think, for a first-year coach to step into. It also is the case that the other guy who had a big hand in the Bills' failures, general manager Brandon Beane, got a promotion as a part of this firing. He's the president of football in Buffalo. You got to report to this guy now, and it's pretty clear he's got a lot of the power in that organization. McDermott and Beane disagreed on a lot of stuff. Number one was pass rush, right? They added so many players to the defensive line over the course of their time together in Buffalo. Just this offseason, Michael Hoyt and Joey Bosa in free agency.
We get it.
Three of their
Baltimore's a better job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted somebody smart to say it because if I say it, I'm a hater.
No. I mean, it's like, to me, it's just an organizational thing. What's the better organization? Terry Pagula, who just mumbled and bumbled his way through one of the more embarrassing press conferences you can remember, of a slew of embarrassing press conferences done by ownership here lately.
Or Steve Bisciotti, the ultimate double threat as an NFL owner and blockbuster actor. So Arizona, Vegas, and Cleveland round out the openings.
Don't laugh at that joke.
If you're going to laugh, do it into the microphone.
Robert looked at me.
Gave you a chuckle.
Said in my ear, off mic, he means Steve Buscemi. I know who he meant. It wasn't a funny joke.
I love Buscemi in that season of Sopranos.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the cousin?
He's Tony.
Oh, he's so good. Because he's not really believable as like anything besides like a worm in anything else he is. But in there, it's like, oh, this guy's kind of a tough guy.
But his name is Tony, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
He's Tony's cousin Tony, if I'm not mistaken.
Cousin Tony.
Need a rewatch of that.
Who the hell are the Cardinals going to hire?
It doesn't matter.
Tony.
Who are the Raiders? Yeah. Is there a Tony? Who are the Raiders going to hire?
I mean, the only reason I care about that is because our Lord and football savior Fernando Mendoza cannot be ruined by the Raiders organization.
Terrible time for them to have openings with this cycle. Like,
I mean, it's really a terrible. Think about the Browns. McDaniel pulled himself out of the Browns job.
I feel like they should have done what FSU did. Like, yeah, we're just going to hold off on firing Mike Norvell in a year where the Florida job and the LSU job and the Auburn job are all open.
So I was listening to the podcast that Diana does with James Palmer, Scoop City. And James asked her a question basically to the effect of, have you gotten any indication why the hell 10 NFL teams just decided, bleep it, fire the coaches? Like that there's such a groundswell as far as coaching movement. Now, it feels more visceral because Tomlin and Harbaugh were in their job for almost 2 decades each. And Sean McDermott is one of the most successful coaches in the NFL. So those 3 alone in the same cycle would have made it feel like a bit of a fever pitch of a coaching cycle. But this is the most openings. It's tied for the most openings. This has happened a couple of different times where 10 jobs have been open in the same cycle. But I don't know. It's never felt this kind of chaotic.
It is chaotic. It's awesome.
Just because the timing, right? Pittsburgh waits till after their playoff game. Buffalo waits till after their playoff game. 2 huge jobs.
Yeah, and it's nice for the Titans to just kind of have their guy, and you can kick back and watch whatever else unfolds.
Sounds like Pagula didn't even want to wait till after the playoff game. Sounds like he wanted to do it before. How cool would that have been? Yeah, playing the Broncos this weekend. And by the way, Sean McDermott's Audi 5000, my friend.
That's kind of what it felt like with Malarkey here at the end, where Ian Rappaport just kept getting leaks from, I mean, we don't know specifically, but cough, John Robinson, that they wanted Mike Malarkey fired, even if they won a playoff game. It happened twice. 615-737-1045. The number is Indiana as a football champion, the first of its kind or one of a kind. We'll talk about it next. They're calling it the most remarkable story in modern sports history. The Indiana Hoosiers, national champions. Lucas was just scrolling through our colleague, our friend, Dawn Davenport, her, Instagram?
Yeah, she just posted kind of a collection of pictures of the weekend she and Travis had, and clearly all of his Indiana buddies down. Just so wholesome. It just makes me smile seeing somebody else's joy. To achieve a lifelong dream that never felt possible, it's pretty cool.
So, and there was a lot of tears in Hard Rock Stadium on Monday night when Indiana finally got it done. The question now becomes, is it repeatable? Not by them necessarily, although that question
might be.
Oh, my God. I would be unbearable. But it might be by them, yes.
You would stop caring so quickly.
What, if they just...
if they just are a juggernaut now, then you'll just go right back to not caring.
No, are you kidding me? That'd be my favorite thing in the world. I'm going to just front runner or bandwagon my way again to a national championship. Where's the national championship next year?
I don't know.
Do you know? Vegas. I'm bandwagon my way to Vegas, absolutely.
Lame.
You don't like Vegas?
Just terrible places for a college football national title. Anyway.
Miami and Vegas? What's wrong with that?
The one in SoFi Stadium, I hate. It's just the neutral sites, man. Especially in
but for a
the non-college
game,
football
that's
towns. I don't know.
Miami is a college football town.
Like the Rose Bowl is one thing. Even the Peach Bowl in Atlanta is another thing. But like SoFi Stadium, Allegiant Stadium, nah.
Are you going to complain about that when Nashville hosts a college football national championship?
No, that'll be great. Very different.
Okay, I'm sure.
Nobody gives a damn about college football in Vegas. Anyway.
So, is Indiana's success, the formula for success, is it recreatable by another program? Because I'm sure Tennessee fans are looking at Indiana being like, the hell? Yeah, where did this come from, and why aren't we doing what they're doing? What are they doing? When in reality, Indiana's not, what makes Indiana special?
Curt Cignetti.
That's it. And maybe that's enough, but even what makes Curt Cignetti special?
Curt Cignetti.
But now think about it. What does he do? There's no secret sauce there.
Yeah, he's just doing it better. Yeah.
So is that just the answer at the end of the day? Just do it better.
Yeah.
All the things that you preach, all the coaching cliches that you live by, all the slogans that you slap up in the facility, just do it better. Do it the way that guy does, where he doesn't take time to think about what he wants for lunch because it takes too much time to think about lunch. He'd rather just think about football.
Yeah, and the scary thing is I think his talent profile of his roster is only going to go up from here. But that does seem to be a prevailing reaction, right? It's get ready. This is the new age. Indiana's the first. They may not be the last. And it's true that the playing field is more level. I mean, how quickly we forgot that revenue sharing is a thing, right? Like that news happened and we talked about it and then we just kind of forgot about it. But yes, programs across the country have $20+ million of TV money that they can distribute into their athletics programs however they see fit. And we have seen effects of that, like Vanderbilt getting to 10 wins and there being more investment, right? Like that's a mini version of what we've seen with Indiana. Clark Lee doing a great job at Vanderbilt, finally backed by his athletic department, seeing the investment, and that's taken Vanderbilt to their best year in school history. But that also just assumes that somebody is going to take over a program with the same level of discipline and the execution and lack of mistakes that Curt Cignetti has implemented at Indiana. And I just think that's so rare.
Coaches? These are all things that coaches live and die by. He's not instituted anything that's overwhelmingly different from every other coach you've heard talk ever.
Right. But he's just done it better. I mean, there's no other way to really explain it. And I just think there's this assumption that this will be the first in a chain of first-time national champions with the way things have been leveled. And I'm not ready to make that leap yet because I truly think Curt Cignetti is a special, special coach that was just hiding for years and years at Elon and IUP and then at James Madison.
Who, by the way, I didn't think he had an overwhelmingly good game, Cignetti.
That's what I'm saying, that they made mistakes that they weren't typically making, especially at the end of the game.
So what happens when he has a less than perfect performance as a coach? Mendoza, who did not blow you away statistically, but that 4th and 4 run is everything that guy has been all year long. Like, he's had games like that. where he hasn't necessarily looked special, but just in the perfect moment, he makes the perfect play that I don't know how many, like, I don't know that this Hoover kid, the TCU transfer, is going to have the same kind of toughness, the same kind of mentality, be wired the same way to handle it. I'm assuming if Cignetti is bringing him into the program that he is similar, that he is of a similar mind, that he would be a cultural fit that way. But I don't know that you recreate this in a lab 100 times over, this specific Indiana situation.
We've seen so many teams in this era just chasing the talent and just doing everything they can to outbid X team for X player. And you wonder how much thought, if any, is given to how this guy fits culturally, right? How he can lead a locker room and all of these things. I kind of love that Curt Cignetti doesn't really seem to give a damn. Like, if a guy is asking for $2 million more and maybe he has a higher talent profile, but player B fits what they want to do better than player A, then great, we'll save that money and we'll get a guy who's a better fit for this program.
He also said something to the effect of, and I don't know if this was in the postgame press conference after the fact, but he basically said, yeah, our NIL budget isn't what you think it is.
I believe it. Not once have you seen Indiana at the top of the heap in trying to outbid the LSUs and Texases of the world for a wide receiver or a quarterback. And I don't think you'll start to either. It's just an attractive place to go for players that want to follow in the footsteps of the 3 stars that just led that team to a national championship.
Well, it definitely makes you want to be a part of something.
Yeah, right? 100%.
Because that's, I mean, I don't know. What's the team, and you may not have an answer to this, you might, but what's the Tennessee team that you felt is the closest, that it meant like that collection of players and coach at the time felt like there was a different level of bond that put them, that allowed them to operate as a higher level because they were actually out there fighting for each other? Maybe 2022?
Probably 22. They didn't quite have the horses that they even have now, and we're winning 11 games. Yeah.
So these things can be done, right? I think it's just like, I don't know that Indiana is going to be able to recreate that magic next year. I think they have a lot of the things that will allow them the opportunity to do that, and the most important thing being the leader, the coach. But I don't. Rob Parker last night asked me, like, this is not a Disney movie. This is what's wrong with college sports. Like, who wants a Disney movie? You want a champion. You want a killer. You want a mercenary out there. A Disney movie.
But I feel like it is a Disney movie.
I mean, it can be that too. But like his position was like this isn't something to be romanticized or celebrated because it kind of indicates the downfall or the where college has lost its mystique around the previous iteration of college football. Kind of like an old head position on, oh, everything's changing. I don't like all this change. Let's keep our institutions in place on this. And I have a hard time buying off on that.
Like, why? Because USC and Texas aren't dominant like they used to be, and we're just not used to Indiana being good. If anything, I think Indiana personifies what it used to take to be a good college football program. Recruiting a culture and getting guys in because it's the right fit and the right collection of players rather than chasing the check, which is always going to happen. And we're going to see programs we're not used to seeing be competitive. But does that mean that just every other year a program parallel to Indiana, like a Vanderbilt's, just going to pop up and win a national championship? I don't think so.
I think, what did Pate say? That Indiana winning the national championship would be the worst thing to happen for college football because people would start chasing that?
Yeah, like, I want that. Why they do it with less money? Why can't you?
Because they have that guy.
I mean, Vol's got a piece of that hiring the strength coach.
I've seen several comments to the effect they put out some kind of hype video about the strength coach.
Yeah, I mean, he also worked for Heupel at UCF, too. So Heupel goes back with him, but they made him the highest paid strength coach in college football and, yes, celebrated it on social media. Strength coach, pretty important.
Sure. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in. Is Brian Daboll your preferred offensive coordinator candidate for the Tennessee Titans? It seems like there is a path forward for that if he does not get the Bills job. We'll talk about that coming up next.
12:03. Good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. Robert Saleh is reportedly set to be the next head coach of the Titans, and the attention now turns to the search for an offensive coordinator as Mike McDaniel is off the board. He is taking the OC job with the L.A. Chargers. Diana Rossini reported this morning that former Giants coach Brian Daboll is expected to land in Tennessee if he does not get the Bills head coaching position. College hoops, Vanderbilt fell at Arkansas Tuesday, 93-68. It marks a third straight loss for the Commodores after a 16-0 start. And the Predators started a 3-game homestand with a 5-3 loss to the Sabres last night. They host the Senators tomorrow. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So the McDaniel option, which never really was an option, is now no longer an option for the Tennessee Titans as far as the offensive coordinator situation goes. But it doesn't mean that you are completely lost in the desert as you try and figure out what the rest of the staff needs to look like under soon-to-be-announced Titans head coach Robert Saleh. Welcome back to the final hour. We're going to talk more about who Robert Saleh is with Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic. He covers the Jets and has a very thorough piece up this morning on theathletic.com about what Saleh did well, what Saleh did poorly, basically what the Titans are getting based on who this person was with the New York Jets. Now, 2 years have passed, basically, since he was the New York Jets coach, so a lot of things can change. But it does help you inform some of the strengths that he can recreate from that situation, and also some of the blind spots that he may have had as a coach of the Jets in his first stint as a head coach.
Only 5 games into the year that he was fired. Remember, 2 and 3.
So was Joe Douglas fired like 2 or 3 games in then? Because wasn't Douglas fired first?
If I remember correctly, Douglas was fired first. They lost in San Francisco to open the season, 32-19 in 2024. Then they beat the Titans here. That was the Levis pitch to Tajay game.
Oh.
The what the bleep are you doing Callahan game.
Yep.
Then they destroyed the Patriots 24-3 to get to 2-1. And then a 10-9 loss to Denver and a 23-17 loss to Minnesota, and Robert Saleh got the axe.
So there's a lot of other things that went into Robert Saleh's firing other than that season that are worth talking about with Zach Rosenblatt, and we'll do that shortly. Lucas asked me yesterday if it was, can we judge the hire, essentially? Can you grade the hire, judge the hire until an offensive coordinator is made official? And I said no, because it doesn't solve the biggest thing that they need to get solved, which is, okay, what's the plan for Cam? Sounds like Saleh has a plan. Not sounds like, he does have a plan. It's just how many different variations of the plan is he prepared for? If his initial desire was to have Mike McDaniel join him, and that's obviously not happening, he'll be the offensive coordinator of the Chargers. If the contingency plan is Brian Daboll, that's great. But there is still the idea that Brian Daboll could end up being the head coach of the Bills, which, of course, Daboll would probably prefer in that situation, a far more ready-made circumstance to give him success, a far higher-end quarterback situation than he's ever had since he was the offensive coordinator for Josh Allen many years ago.
That also means that Brian Daboll has, if Diana's reporting is correct, he has ruled out being an offensive coordinator for the Eagles.
Either the Eagles have ruled him out or he has ruled that out. It was not specific on the reporting. But Diana's tweet, Diana Rossini of The Athletic, who joined us yesterday on the show, you can check out that interview on YouTube.
I've seen reporting that he does not want the job, but I don't know what the Eagles' options are offensively.
Sounds like Bobby Slowick.
How attractive of a job is that, to be the offensive coordinator in
Not
Philly
very.
under Nick Sirianni? Obviously, the talent is there, but the situation feels slightly toxic.
I can't remember well, it's Philadelphia. There's always a slight level of toxicity to it, if not an overwhelming layer of toxicity to it. But think about this. Sirianni, did it feel... well, what they did was they promoted a guy who Sirianni knew well, who was on the staff previously, and who Sirianni had an undue level of influence on. Prior to that, they brought in Kellen Moore, who was completely detached from Sirianni. And so Sirianni had things that he wanted to do offensively, but Kellen Moore basically ran the offense. There was no impact that Sirianni could, I mean, he could have it because he was the head coach, but there was a little bit more of a distance, seemingly, based on some of the reporting out of Philadelphia. Sirianni didn't feel as comfortable kind of asserting influence on somebody like Kellen Moore versus his guy, who's the guy they just fired, Patullo.
Yep.
Kevin Patullo, who is still staying on staff in some capacity, correct?
No, I think he's fired.
I think he's fired as the offensive coordinator. I think he still might be there in a different role.
Interesting.
Anyway, we can find that out for you shortly if you care about such things. But you could do a lot worse than Brian Daboll. The question then becomes, all right, what does Brian Daboll do well at his best as an offensive coordinator exclusively? Because he did get the best out of Daniel Jones for a period of time. He did get the best out of Josh Allen for a period of time. In fact, he's one of the people most responsible or considered most responsible for the development of Josh Allen into this.
And also, I will add some of the best of Jalen Hurts at Alabama as well. Jeff McLean, I don't know if you're familiar with Jeff McLean of the Inquirer in Philadelphia, reported that the Eagles offered both Mike McDaniel and Brian Daboll full autonomy over the offense. He said there are a few remaining candidates that would have leverage to get authority, but that does not mean Nick Sirianni won't hand over the offense depending upon the coach. So he says the Eagles have missed out on two of their top OC candidates and two of the top names around the league, referring to McDaniel and Daboll.
And that's telling if Brian Daboll, who's previously worked with Jalen Hurts, said,
and Saquon.
Oh, that's right. Said, I'm good. Is AJ going to be there next year, you think? I can't imagine they trade him.
Yeah. Did you see Roseman's comments? Roseman was asked about that. Basically something like, AJ's good at football. He loves football. We want players that are good at football and love football. Didn't make it sound like they were going to move him.
Yeah. So the Daboll thing would be ideal. What do you do after Daboll, though? If there is a situation in which you don't get Brian Daboll as the offensive coordinator here. Because it is good to hear that would be his contingency plan if Buffalo falls through. But I'd imagine that he wants to exhaust every available opportunity to be Josh Allen's next head coach while also calling offensive plays there.
Bobby Slowick's name has popped up with the Eagles in that they've requested to talk to him, and obviously they have missed out on their top candidates. That is probably the name that most Titans fans certainly would turn to if Brian Daboll does end up the head coach in Buffalo.
Why not Arthur?
Why not Arthur?
I don't think he did an overwhelmingly awesome job in Pittsburgh, but I don't think he's a terrible option by any stretch of the imagination. Now, Arthur Smith in a post-Derrick Henry world would be an interesting thing because I don't think that – he's had talented players that he's worked with, but John Robinson didn't really hit his stride while Arthur Smith was the coach, no pun intended. And they had a lot of interesting skill position players there that never, I don't know, the usage of them was always something that was questioned when Arthur was in Atlanta. Pittsburgh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he's supposed to do. Their running backs are not anything special. Their best wide receiver is DK, who is good, of course. DK Metcalf is a good, above-average wide receiver, but beyond that, they didn't really have anything to work with. He was there with Pickens for a year, right, Art?
I think he just got 1 year.
Yeah.
With George Pickens.
So beyond that, and then also how much is Arthur Smith running his offense versus how much is Aaron Rodgers changing the offense? Yeah. Things we'll never necessarily have the answer to.
You would have familiarity, obviously, with the organization in Arthur Smith, and you would have a former head coach to be in charge of the offense.
So I am curious to see what other contingency plans Robert Saleh has up his sleeve, because if you're going to wow the Titans administration, Mike Borgonzi is no fool, right? We don't know anything definitively about who Mike Borgonzi will be as a general manager for the Tennessee Titans. But I imagine that he's not somebody that you can kind of pull the wool over his eyes to get through an interview and become an NFL head coach, right? There has to be a very well thought out plan as far as the quarterback situation, and maybe Borgonzi at the end of the day. We'll never, I don't think, get an honest moment on, did you really want Matt Nagy or not? Because it's okay if you did. It doesn't matter because Amy ended up going with Saleh, and the organization is at least projecting alignment behind that decision. But was Saleh's plan good enough that it was okay and good enough to make him a finalist? The thing about that is, though, he never had the initial interview, right? His first interview was the second round of interviews. His interview with the Titans was as a finalist.
Saleh.
Yeah.
Yes.
They felt
correct.
They felt that they had gathered enough information to skip the Zoom protocol for Robert Saleh and said, all right, just get in here, guy, and we'll figure it out for 5 hours. And that's what they did. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in. So, who is Robert Saleh and why did he fail in New York? We'll talk to Zach Rosenblatt, the Jets athletic beat reporter, coming up next.
Welcome back to the show. Though it is not officially official from the team, it is reported that the Titans are hiring Robert Saleh, the 49ers defensive coordinator, as the next head coach. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. So as Saleh gets his second head coaching opportunity, we talked to somebody that has intimate knowledge of his first. As Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic joins us, the article in Robert Saleh, What Are the Titans Getting? Lessons from his Jets tenure. Zach, appreciate you being here, man. When you consider the number one thing on the list, the number one priority for Robert Saleh that you believe he will want to do differently in his second coaching stint than he did in his first, what comes to mind?
Oh, man. I think it's something he's talked about, and that's calling plays himself on defense. I think that's the number one thing he's definitely, I can say for certain that he's going to change. That's something that Jeff Ulbrich called the plays when he was at the Jets, and it was one of the best defenses in the NFL. Robert, did a lot of the game planning and all that stuff and the big decisions, but it was Ulbrich calling it. And he's talked about how he gets a little more emotionally involved in the game when he's calling the plays. And you see it on the sidelines for the 49ers game. He's running up and down. He's, clapping, he's dapping guys up. Whereas when he was the Jets coach, Jets fans would get really mad because he was very stone-faced, whether they were doing well or they were doing poorly. He kind of didn't show any emotion. And when they were losing, fans were really frustrated with that. So I think he heard that. And I think he, I just think by the end of his Jets tenure, he just emotionally and he was kind of worn down by that whole experience. So you could kind of see it on his face. And I think he wants to find the joy in football again, I would say.
Well, it certainly, to your point, looks like he found it in San Francisco, returning back to San Francisco for a season, and they were doing a lot of great work there with a lot of pieces and parts that they simply just did not have. Ultimately, they meet their undoing against a significantly better Seattle Seahawks team. But at the time that he was hired in New York, Zach, what was the dialogue around Robert Saleh? What made him an attractive candidate as the New York Jets coach?
Well, at that time, he had been the defensive coordinator for the 49ers for a handful of years. He helped them go to the Super Bowl. He was kind of the hot candidate because of, he was hyped for his leadership, his game planning, his development of players on defense. And he interviewed really, really well with the Jets when he got there. And fans were really excited when he got to the Jets. And that faded, I'd probably say, late 2022 is when they started to turn on him a bit. The key for him, and as it is with any defensive coach, is simply quarterback and offensive coordinator. Because I think Saleh, whatever you want to say about him, and there are fans that are very anti-Robert Saleh in New York at this point because it went pretty bad there, especially in the second half of his tenure. But his defenses were always good. They were always good enough to keep the other team from getting in the end zone. Analytically, they ranked at the top or near the top in most categories. Whereas on offense, they ranked at or near the bottom in most categories. There's a lot of mistakes they made, both in building that offensive roster, decisions Saleh made as one of the key decision makers. Mike LaFleur was the initial OC, first-time OC. He showed some signs. I think he was inconsistent, but the owner forced him out. And the best option he can come up with is Nathaniel Hackett, who's one of the worst play callers I've ever seen in my life. So it just went terribly on offense. And so you had a defense that was holding teams to, less than 20 points and an offense that couldn't score 20 points. And it's hard to win that way. And so whoever, you have Cam Ward, who obviously talent-wise is ahead of Zach Wilson. He still needs some development, but you don't know who the OC is. And that's kind of be very crucial for Robert if he's going to succeed in Nashville.
Which is what we're awaiting right now. Your colleague Diana Rossini, who joined us yesterday to talk about Robert Saleh, has reported that if Brian Daboll does not get the Bills head coaching job, that he is expected to be a candidate, if not a favorite, for the Titans offensive coordinator job with Robert Saleh here. Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, you can read his piece in Robert Saleh, What Are the Titans Getting? Lessons from his Jets tenure, online at theathletic.com, of course, where you can find all manner of great sports journalism. So the quarterback plan in New York did not go to plan, as you mentioned, and there was some level of ownership meddling in there, which, Woody Johnson is viewed as probably as one of the worst active owners in the NFL at this particular point in time. Amy Adams-Strunk is not quite as involved, though she has not covered herself in glory in some decision-making that has come to pass here in the last couple of years. The other part of this that's interesting to me, especially from your piece, is how concerned he was with outside noise and how difficult that has to be to compartmentalize in a place like New York City. Nashville, there's only so many of us, right? I don't know how many Titans games you've done in your life. The Titans versus the Jets. At this point in time, there's been a few just stinkers in my tenure. But our media corps is not what the New York media corps is, not even just from an intensity standpoint, just by sheer volume. Is there a sense, because I remember a lot of those press conference clips, like keeping receipts and things like that from Robert Saleh, where he was up there at a podium. Why did he let it get to him so badly, do you think?
I mean, that's a question that he would have to answer better than I could. But I just think he, at the end of the day, and I don't mean this like derogatorily, but I think he was a little sensitive. And I think when he came to New York, I don't know if he really knew what he was getting into in terms of, it's not even just like the media at the games. It's, the radio is pretty loud. WFAN is the main radio station down here. And, the back page of the New York Post, the back page of the New York Daily News, it can get pretty harsh down here. And Robert came here like with the feeling that, he was in San Francisco, and this isn't derogatory towards that media group, but I think it was a little friendlier to him when he's the, up and coming defensive coordinator, and everything's positive, and, everybody's listening to what he's saying and they believe in his plan. Whereas you get to New York, you're coaching a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in now 15 years. When he got here, it was like 12 or 11. And you're losing, and, decisions you're making aren't working out. And, and Robert just, he had a hard time separating, like, the fact that the media does not work for the team. Ultimately, like, the media is not there to make your life easier, I would say. And so while I think he handled the media well, like we cover a coach now in Aaron Glenn who does not handle the media very well. Like I appreciated Robert. He was really good at the podium. He gave us stuff to write about. We don't really get as much of that. He treated us all with respect. Absolutely. Like I did enjoy covering Robert, but yeah, at the end of the day, if you wrote a critical column, he probably read it and he took it to heart. And, I always say I don't really get coaches who read anything that's written about them. I wouldn't do it. I don't think there's anything to be served from it. And I think, that led to him, letting it impact him in some ways. He would constantly get upset with people blaming him for, what do you want me to do? I don't have a quarterback. Like, look at all the coaches when their starting quarterback was hurt, how many games did they win? It was always, comparisons. And at the end of the day, I think he is a really good football coach. If he just focuses on the right things, I do think he can succeed. But and that's why, to your point, I've always thought going to a place like the Titans or the Cardinals or one of these markets that aren't as intense was always going to be best for him at the end of the day. I mean, Brian Callahan struggled with that exact same thing here, so that hopefully that's something that Robert Saleh can steal himself a little bit from. In his second opportunity. Zach Rosenblatt, Jets beat writer for The Athletic, here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
At Zach Blatt on Twitter. On the article, and you mentioned it right off the top, Robert Saleh giving up defensive play calling and not doing that in New York to take more of a CEO approach. Zach, how would you grade Saleh as a CEO? Just organizationally understanding the outside noise that inevitably permeates through when you're leading the New York Jets. When you take a step back a couple of years removed from the tenure, how do you grade him as a CEO running an organization?
Yeah, it's a complicated question because there's so many factors in New York, and particularly you mentioned Woody Johnson earlier. Like, he started meddling more and more as time went on, to the point where, Robert is setting a practice schedule and the owner's questioning whether they should be actually practicing at these times. And, he didn't give them referees in training camp last year because he didn't want to pay the referees. And so he's dealing with stuff like that, which makes it hard. But, I think there's some things Robert did a really good job at. I think the defense, he did an amazing job in coalition with Jeff Ulbrich of developing guys and getting guys, the best out of guys who even, weren't that good. Like, when the guys are missing, he did a pretty good job. And the special teams units were always pretty good. The offense was just always a disaster. And, his philosophy in terms of leadership is he wants to build a culture where the players all lead themselves. And I think that's a good idea in theory, but I don't think it ultimately worked out where you're all of a sudden you're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, you're bringing in, all these veterans like Tyron Smith and these hired mercenaries. And then there's not really a lot of leadership in that locker room at the end of the day. So I think there's a lot for him to be learned from how that last journey went. But I am interested to see how much different it looks if he does take over the defense. And, you hire an OC, whether it's Daboll or whoever it is that can run the offense and he doesn't have to worry about that would be good. But I also think, I don't know. I think he made a lot of mistakes and he did some things right. But at the end of the day, like they were a team that when adversity struck, especially later in his tenure, when adversity struck like in games, they tended to fall apart. They struggled late in games. They were one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. So there's a lot of discipline stuff, and his training camps were pretty light. Like there wasn't much tackling, and so I don't know. It's a hard experience to go through for any coach in New York, just because what you're dealing with behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, he was the head coach, and he had his hand in a lot of the stuff they did too, and it didn't work out.
Obviously, the offensive identity depends so much on who the Titans end up bringing in as offensive coordinator. But what were your takeaways in the identity that Saleh wanted his offense to have in New York, and how nebulous did that get when you bring in Nathaniel Hackett, obviously to partner him with Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I don't know if he ever really got to even decide what he wanted that vision to be, because that offense was just such a mess for the majority of the time he was there. And you saw it at its best. They were a real aired out team when Mike White came in, when Joe Flacco was the quarterback. When it was anybody but Zach Wilson, they really threw the ball a lot. And they ran a lot of the running scheme that they would do in San Francisco. I would say when Mike LaFleur was the offensive coordinator, like really creative running style. And so I don't know, it's a balance, but they just never had the quarterback. And by the time he had Aaron Rodgers healthy, he got him for 5 games, was fired. And so we didn't really get to see what that would look like. And the offense is what Aaron Rodgers wants it to be. It's not necessarily what Robert Saleh wants it to be. So I'm most interested to see, like, what does he want the identity of a Robert Saleh team to be? Because we never really saw what the offensive identity could be at its best in New York.
Some feedback that I got, just kind of, trying to understand who this person was and where his shortcomings were, where his strengths were before he arrives here and before we get in front of him as a press conference. We don't have a press conference currently scheduled. They haven't even announced the hire officially yet. Was the idea of him not necessarily being the best at holding players accountable during his time with the Jets. And like the caveat that immediately came to mind for me was, if Aaron Rodgers is who you're trying to hold accountable, and he's doing things like skipping mandatory minicamp for a trip to Egypt because he doesn't want to reschedule, what is Robert Saleh supposed to do in that situation? And how much of that Aaron Rodgers stuff trickles down to an organization? Now, that was 2 years, really just the one after Rodgers got hurt. Would you say that's a fair assessment of Robert Saleh, or do you think that was just kind of circumstantial based on the Rodgers situation?
Yeah, I think it's fair just based on the information that we have available to us. And it was in part dictated by the Rodgers thing, because what winds up happening is you're putting one person above the team. Like the way they talked about Rodgers, they basically talked about him like he was on their coaching staff and that he was above all the rules, and they even like catered to him to some degrees. Like I think one of the years, I want to say the year he was playing, maybe they didn't force him to stay at the team hotel before home games. Like, and he was like the only guy that didn't have to do that. Like, so you're putting that guy above everybody else. And so all of a sudden it doesn't feel like everybody's on an even playing field. And I do think there were some discipline issues behind the scenes, like the stars maybe getting away with some things. And, but again, I think that the Rodgers part of it, like, I don't think Rodgers was necessarily like a bad teammate or anything like that. I think guys did like him in the locker room and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, when you're putting him above everybody else, and even that season when he was injured, like every week, Robert Saleh is at the podium. Zach Wilson's the quarterback, and he's trying to get them to the playoffs in theory or whatever. Like, it's early in the season, and all they're talking about is the idea of Rodgers coming back. Oh, well, he's inspiring all of us. How he's trying to come back. Like, that's all that kept coming up without, even if we weren't asking about it, or even just the way Robert would talk about him. And I think that rubbed some guys in the locker room at times the wrong way, because you kept on like, look, we're trying to win right now. Like, why are we keep hearing about this guy's rehab every week? So I think there's things he could have handled better. And he's going to a situation in Tennessee where you don't have an outsized personality like that. I can't imagine they're going to go and get one this offseason either. So he was at his best in 2022, early 2022. They're 6-3. The roster's built around young guys like Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson and Quinnen Williams and Quincy Williams and Jermaine Johnson, and just a young group of guys, upstart guys, where Robert is the leader, and everybody just kind of wants to win and do their jobs, and everybody's holding each other accountable. And then you start bringing in all these star caliber guys who are going to be Hall of Famers down the line, and the rules kind of change a little bit.
Zach, appreciate the time and the reporting on theathletic.com. Again, you can check out his piece on what the Tennessee Titans are getting in new head coach Robert Saleh, lessons from his Jets tenure, as told by Zach Rosenblatt, the Athletic Jets beat reporter. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, great talking to you guys.
That's Zach Rosenblatt with us on 104.5 The Zone. So that last part is interesting, right? Like, that's a very, very specific situation where, I mean, Aaron Rodgers was basically gifted the organization on a platter and been like, hey, this is your show, bud. Come on in here. And you got to manage that as a coach. Doesn't sound like maybe it was never going to be a smooth sailing situation. But to Zach's point, they don't have anybody who's even remotely like that or has that kind of credibility that the organization would put above all else, that Robert Saleh would potentially be in danger of catering to the way that they, sounds like it was a fair accusation during the Rodgers tenure.
Which I know he's no longer coaching, but it does speak to Mike Tomlin in the way that, that kind of seemed to work as best as it possibly could with where the Steelers were this year. And there's obviously a mutual respect there, and Tomlin is obviously highly regarded. But it does make me think about how Mike Tomlin was able to make that situation tenable and how hard that seemed to be in New York.
How many different situations Mike Tomlin made tenable, man?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we should do anybody the disservice of comparing them to Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin is obviously a legendary coach, right? Even if he didn't have the playoff success at the end, he's a legendary coach. But that trait that you're talking about with Mike Tomlin and how he handles all these different kinds of personality and keeps things together, that is basically what Mike Borgonzi had as one of his biggest criteria for the next Titans head coaches, how you hold everybody in the building accountable. So that is something that Robert Saleh is going to have to prove that he's capable of here after failing to do so in his previous head coaching stop.
Woody Johnson being unwilling to pay referees in training camp is insane. and I've only ever been around Titans training camp practices.
With refs?
So, it's not like I'm this grizzled NFL media veteran. I don't know how it's done everywhere, but I can't imagine an NFL training camp practice without a referee. Can you?
No.
Like joint practice? I mean,
I've had 3 different coaching staffs now that I have covered, and each one of them in training camp has had refs once we get into pads.
I mean, that concept is crazy to me. So there's just so much. I guess it's about when you're evaluating his Jets tenure, the black and white of it, looking at, let's say, Saleh next to Nagy.
Yeah.
Yes, Nagy's record was better. Yes, Nagy had a better single season than Saleh had, but I think we can be capable of, looking through those things and the context around both of those situations. And when evaluating Saleh's tenure in New York, trying to kind of divide that line on, okay, what of the things that went wrong was in his control versus out of his control? He's not blameless, right? No. Robert Saleh obviously made mistakes as the coach of the Jets.
But we're doing percentages.
There does seem to be so much that it's like, yeah, you just throw your hands up.
It's the Jets.
It's the Jets. I mean, what more can you say? It's the Jets. I mean, some of the things about Woody Johnson changing practice times? What are we talking about here?
Fitzy tells a crazy story about Antonio Pierce doing that. Like, he didn't do mornings, so he altered the entire organization's practice schedule to start at like 3:20 and stuff like that. Like, how nonsense that is. What, Robert?
Apparently that was part of the Baltimore, not apparently, that was part of the Baltimore Sun's hit piece on Lamar, too, is that they changed their practices from mornings to afternoon because Lamar did not want to practice in early morning in Baltimore. So I think that's something that happens a little more around the NFL than we give credit to.
I think it's different for that to be done at the players, the star, the 2-time MVP quarterback, as opposed to Antonio Pierce, who, frankly, kind of seemed lucky to be a head coach at the time.
Or the owner swooping in with little
what do you
things
got to
like
be in
that.
practice for? Get out of here.
Him not paying for refs is crazy when he wants to be the owner that wears that big-ass chain that says Woody on it. It's like, how about you just sell that chain and pay for the refs? There's no way they're making that much money.
That chain for sure would cover the refs' compensation for training camp, I would imagine.
Probably a couple of them.
I would say, though, that like people that are trying to, because we just got a comment there on YouTube that says, is Saleh a Vrabel fit? I think that's definitively the difference between them. Based on what we are learning about Robert Saleh is, I mean, when Mike took over here, it was iron fist the whole way through. And again, Aaron Rodgers is a different component to this. But Robert Saleh sounds like he had a much different experience in his first tenure as a head coach as far as how to manage the thing and how to approach it. It sounds like he tried to be more diplomatic, and that may not have worked in his interest at every turn, right? But it means that he's at least he's not. I don't think you have to operate in extremes. I don't think a head coach has to be a dictator anymore. I think we've gotten a long way away from that as far as who works the best. What are you laughing about back there?
Ooh, I might use it as an opportunity to tease. The internet has gotten a hold of good old Pagula's press conference. They got a hold of it, and it's just, I don't even think this is worth teasing. Me trying to figure out if I won the 50-50 raffle.
Does anyone know what the numbers 523, 2226 represent?
No.
What is he talking about? I'm going to have to go back and watch this. I'm going to have to go back and watch it. He probably gave so many nuggets.
Did you see that Kevin Clark of ESPN tweeted about the Keon Coleman thing, right? Like talking about who's to blame for drafting a player still on the roster.
Yeah.
He said, feel for Keon Coleman, but it's unfortunately a little funny to be such a bust that an entire organization is arguing about who picked you.
Okay, I'll use this as a tease. We'll do this on the other side before polls. We found out whose decision it was to fire Sean McDermott.
Next. Am I on now? Welcome back to the show.
Check.
Fueled by Hattie V's Hot Chicken. Little inside baseball there.
I was like, yeah, go, you idiot. Why aren't you talking?
Go hit the button that lets me talk. That's your job.
Hey, we should go see that Will Arnett movie. Is This Thing On? You know what I'm talking about? Where he plays a guy who has a broken family and divorced wife and then decides to take up stand-up comedy
That
to deal with
sounds
it.
like every stand-up comedian ever. My dad hated me. Oh, my family's terrible.
Which one's Will Arnett? Like, I know he's a Saturday night
he's
live
from
cast member.
Definitely not.
Oh, okay.
No, what's Will? He was in
Arrested Development.
Arrested Development.
He was Job in Arrested Development.
As
He
soon as
wasn't
you
on
see
Saturday Night Live?
No, never.
Oh. I thought that's how I thought that whole group of people.
Nope. He was married to Amy Poehler for a time, but he played Job. You ever watch? You watch?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
know
know
Job.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you know he's the voice of Chevy trucks?
Yes.
He's also does the Reese's commercials. He has a phenomenal voice.
Great voice.
Yeah.
He's on 30 Rock, too. I need to do another rewatch of 30 Rock.
Who is he in 30 Rock?
I think he's just on it.
Oh.
I don't remember him
He's
on the
like
30
a
Rock
production
cast.
staffer or something like that?
I don't think,
you
I don't think Will Arnett's on 30 Rock.
Okay, when you look it up, there's we don't talk about how great Will Arnett was as Banks.
On 30 Rock. I know Banks doesn't come to mind. Okay. We'll go back and we'll
I think
revisit.
you guys are haters. You're
Big
being
Will
a
Arnett
Liz
fan.
Lemon to this.
No, he's funny as hell. I just, I like bands. Pop culture, I just I mix and match.
Oh, but we teased something going to the break.
Did we?
Did.
What did we tease?
We found out whose decision it was to fire Sean McDermott.
Okay, very good.
That was my decision.
That's all. No, I'm just kidding.
I could be wrong,
Probably are.
but it was success with the players. I think we've. I don't know if anybody knows it in this room, but Josh Allen wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this guy pushing and pushing, and pulling a Houdini in that draft to get to the position where we could pick him. So, that was my decision.
Man, what does Brandon Beane have on his boss up there?
I mean, what a bizarre press conference. Like, I'm with you, Robert. I think I may just go home and throw this up on YouTube and just watch out of morbid curiosity.
Do you know how many Pro Bowl players Brandon Beane has drafted since Josh Allen?
2.
Can you name them?
Is it the left tackle, Deion Dawkins?
Cook and the safety?
Dawson Knox.
Tight end.
Are you talking about Poyer?
Oh, and Poyer wasn't even. Poyer was the acquisitions that McDermott made the year before Beane was ever the general manager.
Yeah.
2. He got them the quarterback. All the credit to Brandon Beane in the world for drafting the kid out of Wyoming with the terrible completion percentage and all of these things. But you got to build a team around the quarterback.
Dixie on YouTube. Bills owner is a great case study why Amy Adams Strunk should never stand behind the podium. Like, I don't know how Amy would do or how it would go. I just know that it's not a strength and that she's not super comfortable with it, and that's why she doesn't do it. So if she doesn't want to subject herself to our public ridicule the way that we are bashing Gail Benson and Terry Pagula and all these other goober owners that are out here talking out of their ass. Like the clip to me that is the most egregious, because it's all just nonsense, right, is the one that you played for your dumbest thing in sports. Is his thing about Josh Allen. And Josh didn't even acknowledge me. Terry, nobody cares that you're in there. They just lost to Bo Nix on a fractured ankle. And you want him to look up and have a conversation about whether that was a catch or an interception?
Allen is
Are you an
having
idiot?
one of the worst moments of his life.
Oh, my God.
And his 75-year-old owner is hovering over him going, it was a catch. And Josh is like, yeah, I agree.
And he didn't even, I can't even do that, like, that haunted old man voice that he's doing. And he didn't even acknowledge me.
Hold on, let me find it.
Shut up.
It was a catch.
I walked over to Josh. He didn't even acknowledge I was there.
I wish you weren't there either. I mean, just unbelievable lack of self-awareness. All right, We don't have to do it. Do you have a super short poll open back there? Because there's only a couple.
A true OG poll open, presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Is 2025 Indiana football the first of its kind or one of a kind? 52% say the first of its kind, that Indiana has ushered in a new era.
I'm not inclined to believe that, but we will see.
One of a kind until proven differently, right? Until, like, Northwestern wins an Natty or something. What a disaster. Yeah.
I mean, that's as big a joke as Indiana winning a championship. I mean,
yeah. Who is the worst current NFL owner? Puka says Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
Other than she also nominates Haslam and Mike Brown with the Bengals.
I think it's Woody.
It's Woody.
I think it's Woody by a mile. The thing about not paying refs is not the only reason why he's a bad owner, but like that's such a ridiculous thing.
But which fan base has the most against their owner? Cowboys?
No, I think they have a love-hate relationship with Jerry.
Yeah.
I think there's as much love as there is hate for Jerry.
Sure. Yeah. He has brought them rings, so you can't sit here and say he's never been successful.
Been a long time. And I think,
he drafts well, to give him credit. Like Jerry Jones.
Well, their organization drafts
well. He drafts better. They draft better than Brandon Beane, for sure.
He makes it damn sure that he picked a guy. Like when they took Taco Charlton, when they took the big fella last draft, they made sure that you knew it was him.
Yeah.
Who has the most against their owner is a great question.
I mean, Jets fans.
It's Jets.
Has to be. Yeah. What is the dumbest thing in sports this week? My brother's keeper on Twitter says Atlanta fans loathing the Stefanski hire.
Yeah, am I wrong for not getting why he was such a attractive candidate? Like, he's not bad. I know his resume is good. He was a 2-time coach of the year, and I got to stop saying that he won a playoff game for Cleveland when he was sitting on his couch with COVID at home. But still. Those are the polls?
Yep.
Very good. That's the show. Primetime tonight. We'll see you there.